Oh my God. Hello, everybody. It is April the 7th, 2025, the year of our Lord Common Era. I am joined by our colleague and member of the channel, Tony Ferrari, my friend, all the way from Southern Ontario. How are you today? How are things? Been a little while. What's going on, man?
How could I be bad? The greatest goal scorer of all time is now
Mm,
officially the greatest goal scorer of all time.
yes.
Alexander Ovechkin with 895 in the most Alexander Ovechkin fashion,
Yes.
sitting at the blue line, taking 6 steps in and hammering a puck home.
Hell yeah. I
Um,
mean, look, what it was it's such an absurd achievement, especially for the fact that he's 39 years old.
yeah.
That is wild. I am 33 and I'm not a professional athlete, but I'm starting to have shoulder soreness, like chronic soreness. I cannot imagine being 39 years old playing in the National Hockey League and still scoring like 40 plus goals a year regardless of how and why and whatever. But my God, I mean, it was also kind of funny to me that that was the only goal they scored in a game where they lost 5-1. But I
Yeah.
don't know. Congratulations to him, though. I mean, that's an unbelievable thing he's done. Now I want him to get to 100. I don't know about you, or 900. I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but get to 900, make it a new digit, break some new ground. Do you think it's ever gonna get broken?
It's it's tough because the fact of the matter is the reason Ovechkin broke it is because he kept this pace through his 30s. Like Gretzky, I saw a chart today where it was like Gretzky's goal scoring versus Ovechkin goal scoring by age, and Gretzky lapped him in his 20s. And
Right.
then in the latter half of his career, that's where Ovechkin caught up. It's because of those 90 goal season that Gretzky had, and some of those really ridiculous numbers that he had in the 80s, that he had that record. Ovechkin never reached 90. He had that 65 goal season, but then he was consistently a 50 goal scorer for the rest of his career, basically. Can anyone do that? Like, I would love to say Austin Matthews. I think Austin Matthews is
Right.
the greatest goal scorer of this generation. His diversity in goal scoring is something that Ovechkin certainly doesn't have necessarily.
Yeah.
And could it happen? Sure, but like we've already seen Austin Matthews have health issues in his 20s. I guaranteeing he stays healthy in his 30s and puts up 50 each season through age 39 or whatever it would be.
Yeah.
That's unlikely to happen. So I don't know. It'd be nice, but
So just for the sake of mathematics, you basically have to score 45 goals a season for 20 straight years to get to 900, right? Like to be the Alex Ovechkin style of goal scorer, that's the pace that you have to maintain throughout your whole goal, like more than a goal every other game for 2 decades. Like that is astounding. Like that when you put it like that, like especially well into your 30s. I think I did this on the show last week, but he's on pace if he played a full 82 games this year for 55 goals or somewhere around that. Nobody over the age of 35 has come anywhere close to that style of pace since 1971, and that guy was 35 instead of 39. Like it's insane what he's been able to do, and 45 goals a season for 20 years feels really difficult. And it's interesting you bring that up about Wayne Gretzky too. Like, because I mean, I think the difference in the NHL from when Gretzky came into the league and when he left was like not just night and day, but like the universe shifted. Like the universe evolved in the time between him starting and ending his career, where goaltenders, the way a goaltender played drastically shifted from 1978 or whatever it was till 1999. So, I mean, for Alex Ovechkin to do it in the era that he's doing it, and it's also like a real exclamation point on like the first, like post first lockout era, because Ovechkin was a rookie right out of the lockout. He was sort of this like new era, you know, poster child with Ovechkin or with Crosby. And so now on the other side of it, I mean, I don't know how you don't call him the greatest goal scorer of all time. Even if it, and even if you want to make the argument that a whole bunch of them are on the power play, which fair enough, they are. Like I think he's 60 or 70 goals ahead of the next highest level amount of power play goals in the NHL's history. But I believe that the goal, like the next goal he scores at even strength, will tie him with Gordie Howe for second all time. So there's that too, like there's that aspect of it as well, that like, you can say what you want, but the guy still has just been able to just obliterate hockey pucks more than anyone and probably better than anyone else, which is pretty wild. So I hope he gets to 900 by the end of this season. He's got one more year on his contract. I don't know what he's going to do next year. I don't know if he's going to take a foot off the gas pedal or what, but what a day.
I don't know how he takes his foot off the gas pedal any further.
I don't. Oh, hey, bazinga. Well, AJ's here too. AJ, how are you? How are things?
Horrible. This is the worst. This is the worst weekend of my life.
We got a hater in the broom.
Yep.
We got a hater.
Yep. No, you know what? The title I came up with is appreciating it, so I'm only throwing in this one joke and this one jab, okay?
You got one. That's your one. Everybody gets one. Anyway, welcome to the show. We are going to have some fun today. We're going to talk. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about Ovechkin. Maybe we can circle back there if we like. But we're going to talk a little. We're going to actually no. We're not going to just talk. We're going to do a mock draft of all of the teams in the lottery, because it really does look like the NHL standings are locking in as they are in terms of the teams making the playoffs and not making the playoffs. There's a 6-point gap between the last wild card team and the best non-wild card team in both conferences. I always love to point out the teams where in one conference they would be in the playoffs if they played and had the same record in the other conference. And Calgary is currently tied with Montreal in the same amount of games, although with fewer wins on the season, but they'd be right there in the hunt for a playoff spot, but they are 6 points back of Minnesota. So in that vein, we are going to do a little bit of a mock draft. We're going to go back and forth. And the twist that we have here is we don't know what the draft order is, because AJ ran the Tankathon simulation, and we're going to go back and forth and get through some 16 or so picks, and it's going to be a good time. But anyway, Tony, I mean, the other thing too is the Frozen Four tournament is right around the corner.
Yeah.
If you're unaware, the teams that are in it are Denver, Western Michigan, Penn State, and Boston University. In both sets of two, they'll be playing each other. Tony, walk me through it. How much of this tournament have you seen? Where do you see it going from here? What's the story? What's going to happen here in St. Louis on the weekend?
I've watched a good amount of it. It's been a fun tournament. Frozen Four is always some of my favorite hockey of the year. It's probably the most underrated hockey of the year, and this year's been no different. Like that BU team is a really fun team. Mikhail Yegorov came in from Omaha, which was a dumpster fire of a situation, and he really solidified the goal for BU. And they've been great. Like Cole Hudson's been fantastic. Quinn Hudson's been good. It's a solid team, and Cole Eiserman provides some goal scoring. Like that's going to be a tough out for Penn State, who's been kind of the Cinderella story of the tournament so far. They're a team that I don't think anyone was picking to go very far, and lowest ranked team. I think they were 12th in the country, and they make it to the Frozen Four. So that's going to be a really fun matchup. BU has been to the Frozen Four the last 3 years, and they haven't made it to the final once. So they're in position to do it. But if history dictates anything, maybe this is an upset for Penn State. And then on the other side, you have the defending champions 2 of the last 3 years, Denver going up against Western Michigan, who's going to be a really interesting matchup. I think Western Michigan doesn't get the love that they should. Every time I have seen them, I'm like, this is just a really good team from top to bottom. They have depth. They have guys that can score all over the lineup, and Alex Bump's been really good for them. So that's going to be tough, but that Denver team is just ridiculous. Jack Devine's been fantastic again this year, the Florida prospect. Steve William continues to prove that he was the best defenseman in last year's draft, despite being, I think, the 4th or 5th one drafted. Like that Denver team is absolutely loaded. I expect them to beat Western Michigan and probably meet Boston University in the final. And I think it'd be fun to see them go 3 and 4 years, which hasn't happened since Denver did it in 1958 to 1961. So that's quite an accomplishment for a team like that. And guys like Jack Devine and a few others would win 3 NCAA championships in a 4-year span, which basically does not happen in college hockey. So it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a good weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. I mean, like you said, it rarely isn't. I haven't seen Western Michigan. I didn't see the game they played against Mass. I have seen a bit of Penn State and Boston University. I mean, I don't know. I look at the Boston University group, and they've like scraped their way to this point. Well, not necessarily. They kind of beat the crap out of Ohio State, but all like barely getting through Cornell. Granted, Penn State barely got through Connecticut. There's been a lot of overtimes actually going through here, so I don't know. I do really like how Denver looks. I mean, an, I'm the type of person that goes, hey, if there's history to be made, I'd like the history to be made. Like, if you're gonna win and it means a lot to win this, like if you're Denver, I would love to see it happen. I think they've played extremely well to this point as well. That game against Boston College, I think, was a huge test of what they're probably going to be up against with these other really highly ranked teams. Penn State, I mean, yeah, they're on a heck of a run here, so we'll see where it goes. But Boston U, yeah, BU is a good team this year too. You mentioned Quinn Hudson; he's been a guy that's been in my back pocket for a while now. Another Hudson brother just doing his thing. But yeah, I mean, Yegorov, I love the story of Yegorov this year as well, going from Omaha and then, really I mean, Yegorov's record with Boston University is 10-5-1, and without him, that means they would be 11-8-1. So, I mean, with him, their winning percentage is significantly higher. Obviously, quality of competition would modify those things, but in any case, I mean, I don't even really care what happens because I think all four of these teams have shown really well from what I've seen. I'm probably least familiar with Western Michigan, but they've been on paper the best team in college hockey, I'm assuming. I mean, they weren't the top ranked team, but they're the only one here with 30 wins on the season. So I don't know. It'll be a lot of fun, but I'll be watching because it'll be a good time. On that note, since it is on the weekend, there will be no show Thursday because I'll be in Columbus. I'm going to the Columbus Blue Jackets analytics conference, which is on Thursday. So I'll be going down Wednesday, coming back Friday. So unfortunately, no show Thursday unless you want me to live stream from a conference, which I don't think anybody wants. But yeah, it's going to be a good time. Actually, it probably will be live streamed. So if you wanted to just watch it anyway and pretend that it's our show, then you could do that too. But anyway, we're not here to talk all day about Alex Ovechkin blasting shots from the point or the Frozen Four, dirty American college sports. We're here to do a mock draft for 16 picks in this year's NHL draft. We are unaware of the order in which these teams are going to be coming at us. We flipped a guitar pick before the show to decide who goes first overall. First overall belongs to your boy, Mr. Billy Scouch. That would be me. And we're going to go back and forth. We are going to take into consideration the teams who are, drafting, and we're going to try to be a little bit realistic about it. And then, we're going to see how it comes out. I've got my little notebook of power here so I can jog down the picks as they go and make sure I know what I'm doing here. And we can recap it at the end. So, I mean, Tony, unless you have any final thoughts on anything on your mind whatsoever, we can get right into it. And because I know this is probably going to run longer than we think it's gonna.
Yeah, no, we can get right into it. We've already talked about how good Ovechkin is, and AJ doesn't need to chime in anymore on that. So
that's true. He got his one out. All right.
Yep.
Well, yeah. So we don't know the results of this. AJ, you do. So take it away. Who is the first team off the board that I will be making a selection for?
You will be selecting for Connor Bedard's Chicago Blackhawks.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to break Tony's heart, and my selection here is probably going to be Michael Misa.
Is it probably going to be Michael Misa, or is it going to be?
Is.
Because I need an official...
No, it is. It's official.
Okay.
Submitting it. The Chicago Blackhawks are proud to select from the recently eliminated Saginaw Spirit, Michael Misa. Look, the way I see it is it's a choice between a small handful of players. To me, and yes, we did use Tankathon. To me, I think it's a no-brainer. I think that the Chicago Blackhawks, if you drafted Kevin Korchinski and Artyom Levshinov, and you're playing Wyatt Kaiser, and you're playing all of these defensemen that they have on the roster already, I think almost every single one of their defensemen now is like 23 or younger. adding a Matthew Schaefer to it, yes, you've got yourself a really fun toy, but you've also got Korchinski and Rinzel. Rinzel's already in the NHL, and in the games I've seen of Chicago recently, he's looked great. And so I would hope that at this point you've got your defense relatively set up, and I think you need a guy who can play up front that can complement some of the more. You've got a lot of speed with a guy like Oliver Moore. You have a really well-rounded but more higher-end pace guy in Frank Nazar as well. But then you have Connor Bedard, and you need him. You need a friend for him. You need a super. I think you need a super high-end playmaker with great vision and a great feel for the game, and who can push and pull the flow of the game really, really well, and alleviate Connor Bedard of some of this high possession, high intensity, sort of shot heavy game that he's had this season. So I'm going to go Michael Misa. And that's going to be it for me. I think that's the one that makes the most sense. So I'll throw it over to Tony, and the tears coming out of his eyes because I stole his child.
No, honestly, the only team I probably wouldn't have taken Michael Misa for at first overall is the San Jose Sharks, because I think the fit for him in Chicago specifically is just so perfect. It takes all the pressure off of him being a franchise center. You've got Bedard ahead of you, and they have a bunch of defense, like you said. Like you mentioned a few guys. They also have Alex Vlasic back there. They've got a ton of defenders that are already playing NHL minutes. So Michael Misa makes a lot of sense for Chicago.
Well, on that note, you are picking with the San Jose Sharks at number 2.
Hey.
So go right ahead, Mr. Ferrari.
With the second overall pick, the San Jose Sharks are very proud to select, and I know I look exactly like Mike Greer, Matthew Schaefer. But honestly, the Sharks have so much talent all over their prospect pool right now, but they have a guy like Shakir Mukhamadullin who's playing NHL minutes and doing his best, and he has looked better at times this year. They've got Sam Dickinson coming. They've got Luca Cagnoni, who's this offensive dynamo who looks fantastic in the AHL, but they don't have that true number one, and that's what Matthew Schaefer comes into this prospect pool and becomes. I think his dynamism, his skating, his two-way ability that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, I think is all there, and I think it gives them a piece on the back end that, like you said, for Chicago, it's almost a luxury to have that extra defender coming in. For San Jose, it kind of slots everyone else out in a better spot in their prospect pool. So for them, it makes a ton of sense to go with a guy like Matthew Schaefer, especially because they have a ton of forward prospects. Celebrini, Will Smith, Quentin Musty, Igor Chernyshov. Like, they've got a ton of guys coming up front.
Fair enough. That's probably what I would have done myself. I think it just adds something else to that team that they kind of do need. And yeah, that's a no-brainer to me. I would have done the same thing. Now we get crazy. AJ, what do we got at 3 here? And I don't know what the hell I'm going to do here, but sock it to me. What's going on?
The hockey gods have made me very angry and given the New York Rangers the 3rd overall pick.
Oh my God. Okay, the Rangers.
Fantastic.
Yep. I didn't know how that happened originally. I'm like, how did this team move up to 3? Or can't they only go into the top 2 spots? And then Tony said, oh, they can only move up 10 spots. Like, okay, well, that makes sense then.
So Chicago won and the Rangers won the 2 picks then. So the Rangers didn't go.
See,
okay.
It is rigged. It is rigged.
Yeah, got it. Okay, so the New York. Oh my God. Okay, the New York Rangers. Oh boy. Okay. That's a bit of a curveball that I did not expect. What do they got in the system here? Okay, they've got Gabe Perreault, so James Haggins is an easy pick. What else do we have here? You got the Rangers, so you've got. God, they really don't have all that much, do they? Holy smokes. Othman, you've got Sikora, you've got Matt Rempe, EJ Emery. Yeah, they don't have much, so you can kind of go everywhere. The Rangers. Oh my God. You know what? I am. God.
I know, man. I lost my mind when I saw this.
Okay. I'm doing it. Let's go James Haggins to the Rangers here at 3. I mean, I think that you could go any number of different directions here, but I gotta hope that the Rangers will handle a bit of a smaller but highly skilled guy like that really well. And the thing, if it were James Haggins in September, October, or October, November, I probably wouldn't go with Haggins here. Just because I don't think he plays like New York Rangers hockey back in those days, but he really, I think, has come a long way with bringing energy to the game, generating turnovers, throwing his body into contact, and working off the boards really well, and just sort of being a really good enabler of offense for others. I think there's only really the only weakness in his game that I've really noticed that I think is a bit of an issue is the fact that he's just not getting that many scoring opportunities on his own at 5-on-5. He's kind of struggling to get into scoring areas on his own. And I don't know if that's something that maybe the Rangers would lean too much into as a negative and go, well, what are we doing drafting him in that case? And maybe they don't think they can develop that into his game, but that's not really in the wheelhouse of his game anyway. And I think that you end up with a really, really, really good skilled forward who might be able to slot in at center. And if all else fails, you got a really good skilled winger who can skate the puck up the ice a heck of a lot quicker than I've seen Gabe Perreault do it. And I think Haggins is probably the guy I'm going with here, but my brain hurts already. So let's continue. Yeah, go Rangers, I suppose. I don't know.
No, please no. But the next team that Mr. Tony Ferrari will be selecting with is the Nashville Predators.
Yeah, this is a tough one because Haggins would have been the obvious pick for me because I think they need a center in the system. They have Edstrom, they have Matthew Wood, who just kind of got signed, but they don't have that like true top end center. I don't know if there is a true top end center now. Could they go with a Caleb Denoyer? Maybe. Does a Victor Eklund or Anton Frundell make some sense? Maybe. But I think it's Porter Martone here. That's the player I'm going with for them. A guy that plays a bit of physical hockey, is a playmaker out of his physicality. Really kind of has an underrated scoring ability. And this is a guy that's kind of soured as the year went on, but it's not necessarily fully warranted. The pace is sometimes an issue, but this is a guy that's absolutely scored the lights out at the OHL level. He made the World Junior team, played a solid job, did a solid job in a depth role there for Canada. This is a player that I think could be almost what they thought they were getting in Zachary Leroux plus some with some skill. I don't think he has the mean streak of Zachary Leroux, but he has that kind of power playmaking ability that I think a team like Nashville could use because they don't have a ton of naturally gifted playmakers, not only in the system, but even on the NHL roster. And a lot of these guys are going to be here for a while in the NHL roster. So I think it's going to be Porter Martone for me here because James Haggins would have been the perfect, but there is no top end center right now. So Martone is the guy.
They certainly have a lot of wingers. I'm looking up and down the list right now. They've got Surin, Wood, Kamel, Stiga, Marquez, Nilsson, although he's played some center. So, I mean, hey, maybe they have a team full of wingers. I don't know. Maybe they could figure that out. But yeah, no.
And Fyodor Svechkov.
And Fyodor well, he's a center, right? He's been
Fyodor.
Is he? I don't know.
Yeah, he's a center.
Yeah, he's a center. That's one. Okay, they've got one. David Edstrom. That's another one.
They've got a couple of bottom to middle six centers.
Yep, they got a couple of them. Anyway, okay. I mean, fair enough. I mean, that's probably the most intriguing player available in my books. But all right, let's keep it moving. Let's go on to number 5 here.
Okay,
what do we got,
number 5. Fabian Lascelles Boston Bruins.
Dude, the Boston Bruins are sad. I don't know if any of you have watched any Bruins games in the last week or two.
Yes.
My God in heaven, what that team has been outscored. That team has been outscored 2-1 on average over the last 12 games. They've won one game of their last 12. They've scored 25 goals in that period. I think they've been scored on like 55 times in that stretch. And I think 5 of those goals came in one game. But anyway, crazy stuff. 5 goals for them, I mean, came in one game, but it's unfortunate. But I'm also just killing time to see where the Bruins go from here. So I'm trying to put on my Bruins hat here, right? I'm not, this isn't necessarily what I would do, but if I'm the Boston Bruins, if I am the Dean Letourneau first round pick, never, ever, ever drafting. And when I do draft, it's not always really going great. Boston Bruins. Doesn't mean that the player I'll select here is not any good, but I think this guy makes a really, really good Boston Bruin. I think this is a decent range to take this guy. I'm going to go Anton Frondell. That's where I'm going. I think Frondell brings a little bit of everything for them. He's a physical player. He is a really, really solid all-around guy. I think he complements pretty much anyone really well. You've got guys like Marat Kuznetsov and Fabian Lysell who, play this more high-pace, high-energy, just intense game at both ends of the ice. Not that Frondell doesn't do that, but Frondell's pace of play is a little bit lower. He's more of an off-puck maneuvering guy. And I think with guys like Fraser Minton also in the system, and you've got Will Zellers that they just acquired this year, sort of floating around in the periphery, maybe he becomes an NHL player who can score goals down the road. I think Anton Frondell, he'll be a player. I think he'll be a decent physical presence, a guy who just kind of plays the game in a way that works in the NHL, even if he's not a super, I think, high producer in the NHL. But yeah, I'm going to go Frondell here. And I think that makes sense if I'm the Boston Bruins. I could have gone way more creative. I could have gone way more off the board here, but I'm going to play it safe. And if I'm Boston, maybe an Anton Frondell is the guy that I'm looking at if I'm thinking like them.
It makes a lot of sense. I think Frondell would fit nicely in Boston, as much as I do not like that, because I do like Anton Frondell. But yeah, the Bruins need something, and Frondell gives them a little bit of everything.
You don't like Anton Frondell anymore? You're the one who was telling me.
No, I do like Anton Frondell.
Okay.
I don't like the Boston Bruins.
Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha. Okay, well, sorry I interrupted. I just had to get that out there.
It's okay. I'm still on the Anton Frondell train.
All right.
Well, I hope you like the next team, Tony, because you're picking with the Philadelphia Flyers.
Oh,
what a wonderful team this is. They're interesting because they took Jet Luchenko, which was the kind of the surprise of the top 15 last year, and Luchenko's been perfectly fine. He's not been fantastic, but putting that cap on, I think this is the perfect spot to take a guy that I personally wouldn't take this high, but Caleb Denoyer. Get them another center. They need guys down the middle. Their best prospects are on the wing outside of Luchenko or on the back end. And I think it's too early to take some of the defenders that I think maybe go in this range. But Caleb Denoyer is a guy that I think everyone seems to love a little bit more than I do, a little bit more than Will even does. And he gives them a center who can make plays and facilitate for the guys around him. I think Denoyer is at his best when he has someone that can be the dynamic presence, be the offensive creator on the outside, like a Matvei Michkov can be. So maybe a Denoyer can link up with him down the road, and they end up being a nice little duo for the Philadelphia Flyers. But Denoyer is an interesting player because I've come on the podcast, or I've come on the show a few times, and I've said that I'm not a huge fan because I think he needs someone else to kind of rev his engine and get things going for him. And I think that's kind of what the Philadelphia Flyers could use, though. So he'd be an interesting fit there, and that's kind of where I see him landing in this range at the NHL draft, because that's where it seems to be that most people have him.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I think if I were Philadelphia, I might look a different direction, especially because Philadelphia, they have a certain type of player that I think the fans love there. Maybe that's Denoyer in the future, but we'll see. I don't know. You and I both are probably in a similar boat with Caleb Denoyer at this point, but this is probably around the range he goes at this point. I don't know. I would probably be surprised if he didn't. But I guess we can keep it moving. What's going on? Oh yeah, and Caleb Denoyer's brother is already with the Flyers. So
yeah,
Galaxy brain that one. Okay. What's up next, AJ? What's going on?
What's up next? You are picking 7th with the Seattle Kraken.
You know what?
You're gonna do it, aren't you?
I'm gonna do what?
is this the Eklund spot?
See, this is the problem in my mind, because to me, I think Eklund is the best player left. But
Hey, Doug Wilson
Seattle-
Jr.'s there. He picked William Eklund.
I know, but the Seattle Kraken are absolutely swimming in forwards, like absolutely drowning in them. You've got Beniers. Shane Wright has had a really good year. You've got Yanni Newman, who just cracked the NHL, but like Berkeley Catton is on the way. You have Oscar Fisker-Molgaard, who might be one of the more underrated guys out there. I mean, none of these guys are like super, super high-end players. But at the end of the day, if you're drafting a Victor Eklund, is he just sort of like adding to that pack? Because I don't think Eklund is necessarily like automatically well out in front of everybody. Like he's a really good player, but I don't think he's that far ahead of everybody else. And I just feel like when I look at this team, I look at what they have in the stable and I go, I want to say it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with Jackson Smith.
Yeah, that was the other guy I thought.
I think Seattle and Jackson Smith would be a very interesting combination for a couple of reasons. Number one, the Seattle Kraken and the Tri-City Americans are polar opposite styles of play. And I think Jackson Smith's talent base and ability feels way more Seattle Kraken-like than Tri-City Americans-like. And they don't have really a defenseman in their system that skates like him, has a level of ferocity to him, has a level of offensive creativity as well, puck carrying ability. To me, I don't know. I'd find it very interesting to add a Jackson Smith to the stable at 7th overall. I think he's a really high potential player. There's a little bit of rough around the edges stuff there with him, but I mean, they have a ton of guys in the WHL anyway. I don't know. I'm thinking Jackson Smith here for me. I think he checks a lot of the boxes that they haven't checked yet. Not that you draft on need, but I do think he complements what they've already got a lot more than some of the other players that I have ranked in this range or maybe a little bit higher. So I'm going Jackson Smith, and that's that. I'll call it on that.
That makes a lot of sense to me. That's the guy I initially thought of until you made that, and then I was like, oh, is this the Eklund spot? Because I think although both of us have Eklund at 4 on our lists respectively at the moment. I think I'm not going to be shocked when he does fall out of the top 5. So you're right about Seattle's forward prospect pool. It's just littered with guys who have a ton of skill, and someone's going to make it out of it. But do you add a guy like Eklund to it? So Jackson Smith makes a ton of sense to me.
Oh,
who is it? Who's up next? Is it the Pittsburgh Penguins?
Yes, it is.
Ooh, doobie doo. What does Kyle Dubas do?
I know what I would do if I were you.
I think this is the William Eklund spot.
Oh, okay.
I think this is the William Eklund spot. They take the guy that has the talent, that has the motor, that has the drive, and they need a guy like that. They need someone who is going to forecheck, back check, paycheck, like literally like Nikita Bankin, but with skill and less size.
Stop making me cry, please.
I think I think Victor Eklund would bring so much to the prospect pool that the Pittsburgh Penguins need, because they kind of need everything. They've definitely improved the prospect pool over the last 24 months, but they need a guy like Victor Eklund to come in and be the stud here. I did consider Lyndon Lakovich. I think he would be an interesting guy here. Cullen Potter, this is one of the few teams I could see maybe taking a chance on him. But I'm going with Victor Eklund because he is the best player on the board, and he brings some of those intelligent kind of just plays the game traits that the former Toronto Maple Leafs front office in the scouting staff, that they brought a lot of them over to Pittsburgh, really valued in players. So I think that's why it makes a lot of sense.
You didn't go the direction I thought you would go, or that I think Pittsburgh would actually go here. Because, I mean, I love William Eklund as much as the next guy, but the name on my list in here was Ben Kindle. That, to me, is the Pittsburgh Penguins, like,
this
psycho. off the board, but
Yeah,
kind
quote
of
unquote off the board guy.
Right, exactly. And they love their nerds, and I think Ben Kindle might be the biggest nerd in the draft, based on how he plays. Maybe Lakovic, like you said, but anyway, neither here nor there. What is up next, Mr. AJ Jadero? What do we got
The team
here?
that is supposedly going to win the cup in 2029, according to one of our viewers.
Yes.
The Anaheim Ducks.
The Anaheim Ducks. Now
this could be the fun spot, Will. This could be the fun spot. You could take them.
The fun spot.
The Anaheim Ducks is never the fun spot, unfortunately.
Who's a very Anaheim Ducks defender, a la Noah Warren and Tristan Luneau?
Yeah, you're right.
No.
You know what? Yeah.
Oh, no.
I think if I'm the Ducks, no. The Ducks are kind of like Chicago, where you look at their defense group. They have so many of them that you kind of have to hope that they're kind of done with super high-end defensemen, right? Like Terrence Smith has looked really good whenever I watch Everett, but Tristan Luneau seems to be barely just behind the NHL right now. You have Stein Solberg now in North America, and he is an option. Zellweger, you've got. The easy answer is Keyshawn Aitchison, I think, but I don't know about that. I feel like they might.
Look at how many forwards they have, though. Look at all of the young forwards up front already. They're all kind of in the NHL, but they have so many. They really could go either way.
They could go either way. But Aitchison just seems like too easy, it just seems like it's too easy. So
take the swing, Will. You know what to do.
You know what? Let's do it.
You know when you're hard. Oh, I had something different.
Oh no, no, Keyshawn, you got me. I'm convinced. Keyshawn Aitchison to Anaheim. It's too easy. I don't know any other defenseman who checks those boxes that Anaheim seems to love, especially out of their defensemen. They drafted Jackson Lacombe, but was that a Pat Verbeek led pick? When did Pat Verbeek join the staff as general manager in Anaheim? Because he wasn't there it was 2022.
Yeah.
So he would, and Jackson Lacombe was well before that. It may very well be Keyshawn Aitchison. So I'm gonna do that, and he's gonna room with Radko Gudas from day one. That is scary. Aitchison and Solberg together with guys that are also already there is a little bit scary. So sure. Yeah. Why not? I don't know. Why not?
Come on, Will. Imagine the top four of Trouba, Gudas, Aitchison, Solberg, and then you can have Minchikov and Zellweger on your third pair.
Again, this is what I mean. Like, dude, there's no room for him because they also have Lacombe, who's had a great year. And they have Tristan Luneau, who's had a really good AHL season. I don't know. I
will give you one opportunity to switch it if you want. Because it should be Roger McQueen.
It's not going to be Roger McQueen. It's not.
Yeah.
It just is not.
Okay, fair enough.
It just is not.
But you're allowed to switch.
No, I'm switching. Yep, we're gonna switch it.
You get one swap too, Tony. You get one swap as well.
We're gonna do that because I don't like it. Because I didn't like it originally, and I just buckled under the pressure because we're live on camera. Let's go Brady Martin.
Ooh,
okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Brady Martin.
That makes sense.
Pencil that one in. That one is in pen.
Pencil.
Brady Martin, center to the Anaheim Ducks. Baba Booey. There.
That one makes a lot of sense. Brady Martin's physical,
and I don't think there's room for him.
Brady Martin's physicality, the fact that he can play kind of anywhere in the bottom nine, probably. Put him on the center, put him at wing. He can kind of do it all. So he makes some sense.
All right, Tony. You ready for the most depressing team in the National Hockey League? Yep.
Oh, baby.
Yep. You get to pick for the Buffalo Sabres.
There's so many ways you could go with the Buffalo Sabres at this point in the draft. You could go super safe. You could go with like a Malcolm Spence. That would make some sense. You could go risky with Roger McQueen. I don't know if there's a defenseman on the board. Like Radim Murtka doesn't make a ton of sense here. Logan Hensler doesn't make a ton of sense here. Maybe the Buffalo Sabres, the saddest sack franchise in the NHL right now, unfortunately. I want Buffalo to be good. I need to make that clear. I want them to be good. This is where the Roger McQueen slide ends. This is where they go with the guy who's been injured all year, who's had the concerns. They take a guy and they go, what if we had 2 Tage Thompsons? And that's the mindset they go with. They need to replace Dylan Cousins, who they just traded. Josh Norris has already been hurt as a Buffalo Sabre at times. So why not bring in a second injury risk? One of them will be healthy enough to play second line center in a couple of years.
I don't know, man. Look, here's what I'll say about the Roger McQueen to Buffalo thing. Look at what happened with Jack Eichel.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
They were terrified. They were terrified of Jack Eichel and something going wrong with him. That to the point where they traded him. Like they were so scared. They were so scared of him that they traded him. So I don't know. I
You're
don't
allowed
see that
to use your swap.
You know, this is where I'll use my switch. I forgot about the Jack Eichel situation.
I was gonna make
this
that
is where
joke.
I'll use my switch, and I'll go with the better version of Roger McQueen and get them Lyndon Lakovich. They still get the big guy. Yeah. They get a guy that has a ton of skill. He's got some more speed, more pace. He needs to refine some things, but I think Lyndon Lakovich is a top 10 talent easily in this draft class. And Buffalo deserves good things. They've not had many good things. So I'll give them one of my favorites in the draft class, Lyndon Lakovich, who is everything Roger McQueen could be and healthy.
But not my bromance. So Roger McQueen does not have that on Lyndon Lakovich.
Right. Well, that was my thing. That's the player I immediately thought of if I were the Buffalo Sabres. But anyway, what do we got up? What do we got up here at 11?
Let's
Mr.
take a look at number 11. One of your favorite franchises, the place you're going to be, Columbus.
Columbus. Well,
franchise that is older than me by a few months.
Yeah, well, interesting.
Yeah, cool. I don't feel old now.
Yep, that's the whole point. That's what I did to Mr. Steve Dangle. It's what I'll continue to do to everybody I come into contact with. That is not born in the year 2000.
It's tough because they have prospects kind of all over the place.
I got it. I'm actually kind of surprised. I'm kind of surprised this guy's still available, but I think everything we've done makes sense to this point. Radim Murtka. We're gonna go Murtka. They're gonna try the Czech Republic thing twice with Jiricek. They're gonna go back to the Czech Republic and go for the next big guy out of there. I mean, Murtka is. I think this is a decent range to start thinking about taking him. A bit of a project, but I think he's got a ton of potential. In terms of if his development goes well, he's very, very big. He's a pretty good skater for his size. I think he's rough around the edges, but if you don't rush him, for God's sake, like David Jiricek, don't rush him, right? Give him time. Let him play 30 minutes a night in Seattle if you have to, or send him back to Czechia to play men's league minutes or something. Just give him time, because I think the longer amount of time you give him to get more of a better talent base there, I think you're going to get something interesting there. Personally, I might not do it here, but I think if I'm Columbus, looking at who they've got in the system and who they have on the team, this is one that I think makes sense. So Columbus at 11, I'll give Radim Murtka to this illustrious near playoff quality team here.
That makes a lot of sense. I like Radim Murtka in this range. I think Columbus makes a lot of sense for him because they do need to replace David Jiricek in the system, and why not do it with an extra Czech guy? So I like the pick. I don't hate it. There's a lot of we're getting to that range of the draft now where teams could kind of go in a bunch of different directions, both directions you and I would like to see, and directions that I think are guys that are further down our board.
Yeah, I would think so.
Who is it? Is this the Detroit range?
Hey.
Ooh, the Detroit Red Wings. Which boring middle six center is available?
Oh, I know what I would
Ooh.
do. I know what I would do.
There's
100% here.
is Braden Cooch the guy here? That
He's the guy.
he feels Carter Bear. Jake O'Brien. Is this the Malcolm Spence pick? I think this might be the Malcolm Spence pick.
Oh, maybe.
This is the Malcolm Spence pick. That's who I'm going with. They've
Oh,
got the centers. They've got Danielson and Casper now. Now they get Malcolm Spence, who's Danielson Casper on the wing. What did you do? Oh, just another boring team.
Same man.
Okay. Let me adjust here. After having drafted Cole Eiserman last year, and let me pull up their prospect. Who is Jesse Pulkkinen?
Also,
They got rid of before they just got.
So that's why you couldn't hear me. Don't worry, guys.
Oh.
For a second,
They just got.
AJ screwed up.
Like I always do.
They just got Cal Ritchie.
That's true. They did.
Maybe they go to the back end here, and they reach a little bit on a guy that I actually like, but I don't like necessarily this high, and they go with Blake Fiddler.
Okay.
Just a boring defenseman that will be effective and play solid hockey. They injected center depth. They have some solid forwards. And I say forwards, I mean one in Cole Eiserman and Cal Ritchie. But they don't really have that guy on the back end. So maybe Fiddler's that guy.
I thought you were gonna say Aitchison here because that just screams Lou Lamoriello to me. But
I forgot you didn't take him.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know what? Aitchison's the guy here because you didn't take him. But I do think they go D here because there's going to be a bunch of different D available.
So wait, so it's going to be
Aitchison because I thought he was taken already.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, get that solid, just truculent D that Lou Lamoriello absolutely loves. A guy that will go out there and hit a guy after the whistle and probably get walked during the whistle.
Walked during the whistle, eh?
Yeah, walked during the whistle. That's what I say.
Yes.
But no, Aitchison, he scored a bunch of goals this year. He's got 26 or something on the year, right? There are tools there. He needs to refine a lot, I think. And I think this is the kind of guy the Islanders look at and go, we can fix him.
Yeah, I could see that.
Well, now it's the Red Wings. My apologies.
It's the Red Wings, and it's up to me. I think this is where my interests and the Detroit Red Wings interests converge, and we're gonna do Cullen Potter to the Detroit Red Wings here. I think I would be, if I'm working for the Detroit Red Wings, I am screaming bloody murder for a guy like Cullen Potter. I don't care if it's 5 or 6 picks too high. Detroit is so, I think, lacking in depth of pace of play and guys who push you back, push the pace of the game. And, like they have Dylan Larkin. Maybe you could argue Lucas Raymond as well as part of that group.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot else. They traded Jake Wallman. Like they need a little bit more juice in the offensive engine, I think. So, I mean, yes, you might be able to go defense here, like a Logan Hensler might make sense or something. Yeah. But if I'm working for Detroit at this range at 13, I am fist on the table. Like, let's be absolutely positive we don't want a guy like Cullen Potter on this list, on this team, because I mean they've had a chance to take a guy like Potter for years. But yes, I think it's going to be Cullen Potter at 13, and I think Detroit would be smart to take a chance on him. And I think he's exactly exactly what they could also use a little bit more of on the NHL roster.
Definitely. I would love for the Red Wings to go and take a guy like Cullen Potter, because I think it would be a great fit with some of the players that they do have, and it would bring out the offensive skill in some of those guys that I talked about, like a Danielson and a Casper, who maybe do lean a little bit more to the transition or defensive side of the puck, or just middle six guys at the NHL level. So I love Potter to the Red Wings. Do I think it's going to happen? I'm with you. I'd pound my hand on the table to tell him to take him, but I just don't know if the Yzer plan has that in the cards.
Mm-hmm. You never know. We're down to our last three.
Yep.
So what's next, mister?
Next up, Utah.
Utah.
They love their big boys. They've got like, they took Tisha Ginla, who hasn't played a whole lot this year. Dmitry Simashev, Dino Boot.
If you would
Patrick
like,
Lamoureux.
I can recap all the picks that have been made. That way you have an idea as to who's still available.
Do that. Go through them and
All
give me a moment to think about Utah.
Yeah. So far we've got Michael Misa to Chicago, Matthew Schaefer to San Jose, James Haggins to the New York Rangers, Porter Martone to Nashville, Anton Friendel to Boston, Caleb Desnoyers to Philadelphia, Jackson Smith to the Seattle Kraken, Victor Eklund to Pittsburgh, Brady Martin to Anaheim, Lyndon Lakovic to Buffalo, Radim the Dream Murdka to the Columbus Blue Jackets, Kashawn Aitchison to the New York Islanders, and Cullen Potter to the Detroit Red Wings. So at number 14, to the Utah Hockey Club, who we got?
So curious.
There's so many ways they could go, because I don't think this is where the Roger McQueen train ends. They have a few dudes on the back end that kind of fill in with that size with a guy like Lamoureux and Simashev. But I would love to see them go and get a guy like a Carter Bear here. Bring some of that energy, bring some of that pace. I know there's the laceration injury that people are a little bit concerned about, but I think Carter Bear would be a great fit with the players that they have. Giving them a workhorse, a guy to go hunt pucks down, be a two-way presence, bring some of that goal-scoring ability and some of that creativity, and just the speed on the wings. I think Carter Bear would be a great fit here for them.
Imagine him with Logan Cooley. Oh, so
Yeah,
gross.
that's what I'm thinking.
So gross. So gross.
Dumb as hell. Yeah, dumb as hell. Okay.
All right, speaking about dumb as hell, it's your turn to pick, Will. And Vancouver's up.
You're calling me dumb as hell, not the Vancouver Canucks, right?
It's open to interpretation.
Why not both?
Okay. Well, the Vancouver Canucks.
The Canuckleheads, as I like to call them.
The Canucks. What even is in their universe right now? They have not drafted very much recently, I don't believe. They got Lekka Ramaki floating around. They've got Willander on the way. The other Elias Pettersson's doing stuff, but not much else is going on here.
Probably.
So they could use pretty much anything.
Yep. And they've liked
right,
Europeans recently.
Yes, they are not afraid to draft out of Europe, but I wonder if there's a little bit of a shift in teams that aren't afraid of Europe, because now CHL players can go to college. I am going to go with, you know what? I think it's too late for this guy anyway in the draft, so I'm going to put Jake O'Brien down. I think that a guy like O'Brien, especially considering, obviously you can't project exactly who's going to play with whom in the future, but I think that a guy like O'Brien would enable a guy like Lekka Ramaki to be Jonathan Lekka Ramaki a lot. Like O'Brien is a really, really creative playmaker who may not be the highest energy, highest pace, most physical guy in the universe, but he's very smart. He's a pretty powerful skater. He gets around the ice pretty well. But the thing he does really well is make reads of the offensive zone and in transition, works around pressure really well, finds ways to slide the puck in creative ways to guys and maintain possession. He's not perfect, but I feel like a guy like Jake O'Brien, it's a nice sort of blank slate. I don't think he's a huge upside guy, but with the puck skill and the creativity, who knows? That's the one I'm going with here. I think that's the one I'm going with here to close out my set of picks with Jake O'Brien to the Vancouver Canucks.
All right, Tony. You ready to find out who you got, or can you kind of figure it out?
It's
from here?
Montreal, right?
Yeah, it's Montreal.
Yeah,
via Calgary.
I assume it's with Calgary's pick,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
Yep. And then they would have another pick, their own, a couple picks later.
Literally the next pick.
Okay, perfect. So
if you want, you can go back to back here just for fun.
Sure, why not? You know what? Why not? Because there's room for risk here. Maybe this is where McQueen's ball ends. I don't love it. I think the fact that they do have two picks so close in proximity, maybe the second one is McQueen. But I think if I'm making two picks, they have a ton of defensemen in the system. David Reinbacher is still coming. Logan Mayhew is still coming. Lane Hudson just got there, and he's fantastic. They've got a lot of young D in the system coming. So I think the pick is up front. There's obviously no goalies in this draft class that would warrant a pick this high. I'm going to go with Bill Zonin, a guy that I think fits the QMJHL narrative that they want. They want a Quebec guy. Is a workhorse. I absolutely love Bill Zonin. The guy's going a mile a minute all the time. Like it's so fun to watch him play. I think he's got the complementary skill to play with some of the higher end guys if he plays on that second or third line. I think he'd be a really good fit there. And then you take that risk with Roger McQueen, get a center that they're sorely missing another center in the system. So if you can get a guy that I think a lot of teams at least view as a top 5 talent outside of the injury concerns at 17, 18, then maybe that's where you get him. But Bill Zonin's the pick for them with the Calgary pick.
Interesting. But yeah, I mean, I would love that. I mean, I don't know. The only thing with McQueen, and we've talked about him a little bit, is it seems like the more and more I hear from people, the less and less awesome it sounds. Like,
yes,
it does really seem like NHL teams are looking at this and going, do we really want to be the team that swings on this guy? Like, do we really want to be that team? And when do we do it if we are going to be that team? And I think a lot of teams are looking at the situation and maybe going, I don't know. And I don't think you can look at that and go, I don't know, and do it. Right. But I mean, it only takes one team. All it takes is one team, and it could be Boston. It could be Pittsburgh. It could be Anaheim. Who knows? They might just go, hey, you know what? We think he's going to be fine. And maybe it works out. But I don't know.
And to that point, to an extent here, Montreal's playing with found money. Because if you remember, they turned Sean Monahan into 2 first-round picks.
Correct.
So this is found money. You can literally just be like, screw it. What's the worst that could happen? Because it's like, who knows? Maybe you get a really good player out of it, and a player who you shouldn't have gotten where he went.
I'll tell you.
It's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Is you get your Bills on, and you get the guy that I think will play and be a contributor, end up being a fan favorite just because of the style of play he has. And then you take that risk with McQueen because, like you said, found money. Like not many teams have the ability to go kind of back to back in such a close proximity in this draft class. So I think it'd be fun to see if McQueen works out in Montreal, then great. They have a second line center for the future.
On the other hand, the worst that could happen is you draft Roger McQueen here. It doesn't work out. and a guy like Ben Kindle or a guy like Cameron Schmidt or a guy like, I don't know, even a Logan Hensler or even Justin Carbonneau, I don't know, goes out and becomes a 30 goal scorer in the NHL, right? Like
I considered Cam Schmidt specifically, but I was like, would they add another Cole Caulfield-esque kind of player? I don't think they're the same kind of player, but smaller guys that are goal scoring focused. I think they need a little bit more than that, and I think that's why they'd go outside of that kind of style of player. Ben Kindle, I think, could make a ton of sense here. This would certainly be well within the range, at least in my mind, that he would go. Um, and he was a guy that I was like, if they don't go with the Roger McQueen risk, maybe he's the kind of guy they do end up going with Hensler or Fiddler if they go on the back end. But they just seem to have so many guys on the back end. They're so young on the NHL roster. They've got a couple guys coming still. It's becoming a bit of a logjam back there, and maybe a guy like Hensler or Fiddler don't reach what they could on a team like this with just so many prospects back there.
Right. So before we get to questions on the back half of the show, a recap of the entire lottery mock draft thing we just did. Chicago was me first with Michael Misa. San Jose was Tony with Matthew Schaefer. The Rangers went third. That was me, and I took James Haggins. Nashville was Tony. We took Porter Martone there. Boston was me. Put Anton Frondel down. Philadelphia at 6. Tony took Caleb Desnoyers. At Seattle's 7th pick, I took Jackson Smith. Tony took William Eklund for Pittsburgh at 8. I took Brady Martin after much gnashing of teeth to Anaheim at 9th overall. And then Tony took Lyndon Lakovich to Buffalo. Radim Murtka went to Columbus on my behalf. The Islanders took Keishon Aitchison. Detroit took Cullen Potter. That was my master stroke. Utah took Carter Bear, which was Tony's mistake. Vancouver took Jake O'Brien. And Montreal took Bill Zonin to close things out. I am joking about Carter Bear
with
going
Roger McQueen as the Phantom 17th pick.
Right. I wanted to just take a dig at Tony there because that's what we do. That's how it works. Okay. Yeah.
Wasn't a very
I've
good
seen
dig.
a dig or two in the comments about me already. So
that's true.
All in good fun.
Yeah, this is how it works. This is what we do, you know. All right. Well, on that note, again, the back half of the show is a Q&A. We're going to get right into that in a moment as I get myself reoriented here. I mean, I get the feeling that the actual NHL draft is going to be
nothing like this.
Nothing like this, and even crazier than we imagine.
Yeah.
I always love to try to think that I'm mentally prepared for the last minute shifts that happen, but I'm not. Especially with the under 18s. God only knows what's in store for that.
I remember last year being in Vegas, and I think the first day I was there, you and I were hanging out, and we kept hearing Seneca to Anaheim at 3. And we kept kind of dismissing it. And then the next day, it was even louder. And we're like, oh, maybe this is real. And then it happens, and it's like, well, we've been hearing it for 2 or 3 days now, 4 or 5 days now. And like, we're gonna see stuff like that every year, and that's always the fun part about the NHL draft. Like, who is that guy this year? Who's the guy that is rising on draft boards throughout the season, and then for seemingly no reason, on the surface level at least, because these teams are talking to players behind the scenes, doing their evaluations and stuff, and whatnot right up to the draft. So we don't get to see all of that just because games are done. A lot of times these guys are still talking and interviewing and going over tape and everything. So who's going to be that riser? Who's going to be that guy that pops up way earlier than expected and maybe looks just as good as any of the other guys in that range? So it'll be fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's always fun. That's the whole idea. We're going to have a good time doing a show that day. All right. First question of the day comes from Brian Stewart, because of course it does. He just won't leave us alone.
Shouldn't it be the last question that he gets, since he's always last on our ticker? Shouldn't we save it?
Maybe, but
fine.
He was first. He was first. That requires work, and I think we should honor that work.
Fine.
I mean, his question is
Love you,
bad.
Brian.
What's the deal with Owen Griffin going nuts in Oshawa? I mean, I don't know. Sometimes guys pop off in playoff series. I mean, Owen Griffin is certainly a crafty and skilled guy. He looks like he's about 10 years old and, not a particularly physical player. But if you give him the puck and open ice, he can make stuff happen. I don't know, Tony, how much of the OHL playoffs have you actually seen? Because I've been watching so much USA hockey under 16 nationals in the last few days that my brain is so scrambled and I have not really kept up with the OHL outside of that Saginaw
That's
that
what I,
series went nuts.
yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Is I watched a lot of that Saginaw series because I couldn't believe it was happening, to be completely honest. But I didn't so focused on the Frozen Four, getting ready to preview all of that and go over the teams that were in the tournament and stuff. I've been focused on that. But yeah, Owen Griffin's a guy that, like, I mean this in the nicest way possible. I think he's a very skilled player. He's a very fun player, but it's almost like he would be so sick in beer league. Like when the physicality and the intensity is kind of taken down a little bit, he would excel. At the pro level, that space is taken away a little bit more, and that's where I worry about his game. So it's impressive to see him going off for what he has in the playoffs so far. It was a little unexpected in my opinion, like in my mind. Like 12 points in 6 games it's pretty ridiculous, to be honest. But let's see if we can keep it up. Maybe he's this year's Seneca.
Maybe from 197th in North America, according to Central Scouting midseason, to top 3. Maybe. Okay. Oh boy. Now you got me thinking. What do you think of the Penguins prospect pool? It is a lot better than it was 18 months ago.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. I mean, I think that's something that Kyle Dubas does quite well, is just sort of amass solid young players. I mean, Ville Koivunen is one of my personal favorites this season and in general. I'll watch Ville Koivunen every day of the week. I mean, there are picks in the past that I probably would have done a little bit differently if I am them. But in terms of the Kyle Dubas era, like, you can't really fault Kyle Dubas's general drafting ability. I think with Toronto, his staff did pretty well, and he now has Wes Clark there. So I think it'll be more interesting to see where they're at in 2 or 3 years. But in general, I mean, I think it looks pretty solid, right? Like, I'm looking up and down this roster. I mean, the one that leads the way for me is Koivunen, but Pickering is a pretty good player. Like, I'm not sure any of these guys are going to be massive needle movers, but they do have a really good set of goaltenders as well. Blomqvist, Murashov, even Taylor Gauthier has been having a good year. So there's a lot to like about a lot of these players. I still don't know about, like, super high upside, high end players that are floating around. But they've got good stuff, and they have Max Swanson, who is about 5 feet tall and always a fun player to watch. But I don't know. Any other thoughts or no?
No, that was kind of my thing when I drafted for them too. Like, they've improved their prospect pool over the last year and a half so much, and kudos to them for it. But they still need, like, high end guys. Like, I love Ville Koivunen, one of my favorite players in his draft class. Rutger McGroarty was a guy that they traded for. They traded Braden Yager for him. That's an interesting piece that could be a solid complementary scorer. You mentioned Blomqvist and Pickering, and you go up and down this prospect pool, and you have a lot of guys that look like solid swings with a lot of risk in them. Like, not a lot of these guys are surefire NHLers, but there's guys that you're like, maybe they make it, maybe they take a step, and maybe they become solid NHLers. Like, what does a Tanner Howe become in a few years? Like, how does that look for them? So they've done a much better job of replenishing the prospect pool than they have in the past, and they still need the top end guys though.
So just for the record, let me just double check that this is accurate. But in terms of my patented prospect pipeline model, the Pittsburgh Penguins currently sit at 19th in the league. 17th, sorry. They sit 17th, which I think makes a little bit of sense. Like, middle of the pack, not a whole lot of star power, but some decent guys there that might be able to fill out their roster, but they don't have this is still, I think, very early goings in a new era for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I think that things will look very, very, very different in a couple of years. Yeah, Ovi's on pace for 900 career goals by the end of the year.
You know what I'd be curious about, Will?
Yes.
Where were they ranked?
Bottom of the league. I don't even remember.
What, at the beginning of
A
this
year ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much bottom of the like Koivunen was pretty much it for them because they didn't have McGroarty
Mhm.
at that point.
But they did have Jaeger, right? Because that was a swap.
They did, but my model weighs college more than junior, so McGroarty would have been higher on the list. But yeah, in general, yeah, it wouldn't have been awesome. I just refreshed, and my team Scouching boys are number 1, and I'm trying to figure out why they jumped from 4th to 1st. But I'm not going to ask questions. I'm just going to pretend because it makes me look smart. I'm just going to say it's my fault.
You're so damn good.
Because it's because it favors stuff and or your data is biased towards you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If a player is on team Scouching, in the model in my Excel formula, I go times 1,000, and I just multiply the number by 1,000, and then I never lose. I just never lose. It's the best.
But that value is only multiplied by 1,000 on your team. It is the standard number for the player on their actual team.
It's literally all of the players that are in the system and the points that they've scored added together. That's all it is. And then multiplied by 1,000, that's me. So everyone else gets nothing.
It's the big brain per 60 factor.
Yes, add the points, divide by games played. For me, it's add the points, multiply by 1,000. That's it. If you want me to peel back the curtain, that's how it works here. So that's why I'm number 1.
Not actually.
Sucks. Yeah, no, not actually. Please, for the love of God, don't actually do that. Okay, Alexander Zhuravsky, question mark. Tony, I want to know if you've seen much of Zhuravsky and what you think of him, because I talk about him quite often.
I have seen Alexander. Let me pull up my notes right now. He's an interesting guy from what I remember. I haven't watched him in a while.
Tony's notes just read, he's terrible.
Yeah, watch my notes be.
Times 1,000.
Yeah, he's terrible times 1,000. No, he's a guy that I remember Dylan Griffin was high on him earlier in the year.
You mean that guy calls you bald all the time?
Yeah, the guy that just rips me apart.
He should donate some hair to you. He's got plenty.
He's got tons. He really does. And okay, yeah. So based on what I've seen from him, I like him, but everything I've written is what an interesting player. Very interesting skill set. Not sure what he's gonna do with everything that he can do. Yeah. But sometimes it's fun. Like it's stuff like that. Like he scored a nice goal taking on a defender 1-on-1, making a move to the inside and corralling the puck before spinning and firing it to the slot. Like these are things that aren't going to work at the NHL level, but he's capable of doing them. And he's at least like he's a player. We talk all the time about players who bring us joy when watching. And if you turn your brain off and stop kind of critiquing the details, sometimes Zhuravsky is just a blast to watch.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's when you start being trying to be an analyst and a scout and you go, well, the details sometimes aren't there. And that's where he falls a little short. But I like Zhuravsky. He's on my list. He's down my list quite a bit, but he's a player I have ranked and a guy that I've liked in all the viewings I have noted. So a lot of stuff that he has to clean up, though, just making plays under pressure, getting a little bit quicker to making the decisions he's making. But when he's just kind of freewheeling it seems like he's out there having a good time.
I mean, yeah, the thing for me is the level he plays at. Like,
yeah,
the Eastern Silver Division, I think it is for UFA. I could be wrong on that, but it is at least the Eastern Division, which is not great, to say the least. But in any case, yeah, I mean, super fun player. I agree. He's kind of like the guy.
Yeah.
All the time, where you're like, oh, interesting. And let me, where are they? Ufa. Yes, they were top spot in the Silver Division. They dominated that division. And then I think they lost their playoff series to the team that came 8th in the Gold Division in the Eastern Conference. So, not amazing. But, yeah, fun player. Lots and lots of fun. I imagine if anyone does draft him, they leave him in Russia for it'll be Carolina drafting him in the 7th round, and he's in Russia until he's 26. You know, like that's, I think, the strategy with him. And if he works out, you have his rights, and if he doesn't, you still have his rights. So that's where I would go with him. What do you think of Aiden Fink? I mean, I've talked about Aiden Fink a whole lot. Like, I mean, he's a really good finisher, really great shooter. I don't know. Have you seen much of Penn State in this tournament, and what do you think about Aiden Fink?
Aiden Fink was a guy, I'll be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of his draft year. I didn't think that he was a guy that I thought would kind of pan out to the NHL level, and maybe he still doesn't, but I certainly think the steps he's taken in college have been really encouraging. He led Penn State this year in scoring. I think he was 4th or 5th in the nation in scoring. Really good, like you said, a good finisher. He can do a little bit of everything, and that's what I came to appreciate watching him Penn State this year. Giving them an element of a guy that can, if you need him to set up some plays, he's able to set up some plays. He's a great finisher, a solid finisher. He hasn't scored in the tournament yet, so I think that'll come in the next game. But he's certainly a really interesting guy that I think does a little bit of everything, but his finishing is kind of where he's best at, I think, right now.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that largely. Yeah. Yes, we did use Tankathon for the lottery drawing. We did. Okay. All right. What do we got? If you're the Rangers and your pick ends up in the protected zone, top 13, would you choose to keep it or give it to Pittsburgh and keep next year's pick? That's an extremely good question.
Ooh.
I mean, for us in our mock draft, New York picked 3rd, and I wouldn't do that. I would keep it.
Yeah.
But
that blew my mind when I saw them being 3rd. Like, how the hell did that work?
Right.
Yeah. I think for me, it depends on what their plan is this summer. Are you planning on tearing things down? Are you planning on going to the rebuild that you kind of never went into a few years ago? Or are you going to try to reload? Like, are you going to try to get back into the playoffs next year? Because they traded for JT Miller. They've got some of these young guys locked up. They've got a lot of their kind of core at the end of their line. So are they going to go, well, we've got 1 or 2 more years left, let's go for it? Or are they going to try to move those top end guys and get some younger talent or picks? If you're gonna, like, let's say they get, obviously I don't think they're going to get 8th, but if they end up in that 8 to 13 range, maybe you do just give it up and tank next year and try to get a higher end pick next year in a draft that seems to have a little bit more high end talent. But it really, like I said, it depends on what their plan is for the summer, because that really dictates when their pick will be most valuable.
Counterpoint. Would a team that's going to tank next year go out and get JT Miller?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So, like, it doesn't make sense for them to tank next year.
I don't think they're gonna. So that makes me think that they're going to keep the pick, give up their pick next year. Because I don't know. I have to think that they think that they're going to be competitive.
Yeah, I mean, they just won the President's Trophy last year. They have Igor Shesterkin, arguably the best goalie in the world. They have JT Miller, Panarin. Lafreniere hopefully will bounce back. The Keandre Miller's RFA, but hopefully him and Adam Fox can get back to the level that they were at a couple years ago. The pieces are there for them to be a solid playoff team next year. And even if you're not a true contender next year, give up the pick next year and take the 12th to 13th pick this year. But if they do kind of have that internal discussion of, we're going to tear it all down and see what we can get for these older guys, then that's the only situation that makes sense to give up this year's pick.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah.
I think they're a really weird team.
They are.
Yeah. And I think they're going to keep pushing because that's just what it seems like. And their ownership's kind of pathetic. No, let's just put it's fine. James Dolan's kind of pathetic. And
that's controversial.
It's not controversial. I ultimately think this team is going to be very mid for a very long time.
As long as they have Panarin on the roster, they will be
at least fun.
They'll
be fun with Adam Fox and Artemi Panarin.
Yep.
But oh boy, Mika Zibanejad is not good. He is really bad. Like,
yeah,
he's it's impressive. It's impressive sometimes. But that being said, if they shift towards a more fast-paced team, they can do damage. But I think they're going to sort of stay in their soak up pressure, let Igor carry us type of thing that they've got going, and just rely on a really, really strong power play and special teams, because that's what they kind of were. And I thought they were the most undeserving President's Trophy winning team ever last year. It was bad. Come on, Will. You know they were bad last year. They shouldn't have won.
I feel like at some point the Brooklyn Americans or the Philadelphia Quakers must have had a season where they didn't deserve it. I don't know.
Yeah, but they weren't playing against 31 other teams.
Yeah.
So it's a little different.
You're right.
It's much harder to win a President's Trophy against 31 other teams.
I don't disagree.
So I think for them, we're going to be in this weird purgatory for a long time.
Probably. When do we start to hear Nestrashel in the first round talk? Elite Prospects had him in the first round the last go around, so there's stuff out there about it. Mackenzie did not have him ranked. Oh no, he was at 60. So yeah, I mean, he seems to be pretty commonly just a second round guy. But I would imagine if he goes to the U18s for Czechia, he will be one of their probably more intriguing players. But he hasn't played for the national team all season, and I know they're not huge fans when guys leave Czechia and go somewhere else, especially mid-season like he did last year. So God only knows what's going to happen there. But I mean, if he goes in the first round, I would not be surprised. I don't know, Tony, would you?
I'd be a little surprised.
Big, throws hits, pretty skilled, really good shooter.
Yeah, he's a fun player. He's definitely a guy that's risen on my board all year. Gotten into the second round in the second half of the year. But just for example, the Czech team released a training camp roster for a couple of games against Slovakia for the U18 team, and Nestrassel's not on it. So as you mentioned,
there you go.
He's not a guy that I think they're going to love because, as you mentioned, leaving mid-season isn't always the thing that they appreciate. They've Czech hockey has been a bit sensitive in the past to that. We've seen at the World Juniors, the U18s, different levels, guys get left off the team because they made a choice to go to North America a little earlier than expected. So it would shock me if he got in the first round just based on the fact that he won't have a U18s to kind of build off of. But if he were to go and make an impact, that's when it wouldn't shock me to see him sneaking at like 28, 29.
Yeah, I could see that.
And just as like an example of a player that Tony would be talking about, Dominic Badinka is like one of the more high profile guys recently, World Juniors, that he was left off of.
And I'm pretty sure that was the same reason.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure that it was that.
And he really, really should have been on that team.
Yeah, it's okay. We got more Thomas Galvis in our lives. That's okay.
That is true. That is true. But
cool with that. He was quite good. Do you guys think Buffalo would take Schaefer first? Probably not. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Because it's so weird. Like, here's the thing to me, right? Because they already have guys like Dahlin, he's not going anywhere. Power, he's not going anywhere. And Schaefer, like, what does he add that they don't already have? Or at least, like, again, like, what did you draft Dahlin and Power to do? Right? Like, are you swapping out Bowen Byram for a much better version of Bowen Byram? And you know that Bowen Byram, like, that kind of addition to the team just did not work. And he's another left-hand shot. So what are you
That was going to be my point. If he was a right-hand shot, I think there's a chance. But the fact that he's a left-hand shot, the fact that he's a redundancy on what they already kind of have, it just doesn't make a ton of sense.
No, and like right now on Daily Faceoff, their centers are listed as Yuri Kulich, Ryan McLeod, Peyton Krebs, and Noah Ostlund. I love Noah Ostlund. He looked pretty good the game I saw the other day, but I would have Michael Misa in that group every single day. They're both going to be really good players, but that's where I would go.
Michael Misa's already the number one center on that team.
I don't think that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like they'll add Consta Hellenius to the roster at some point, probably. Like I don't know, but they could use a little bit more there. How do you feel about Mises and Martone's postseason? They both got bounced early, but it felt like they were two completely different storylines. I don't really think about it that much, honestly.
Yeah.
Like a short 4-game series, and it just like it's a team game. These guys aren't on the ice for over half the game generally, and there's only so much they can do, right? Like I don't know. The thing that I always go back to is like, just because they're in the playoffs doesn't mean that they are completely different players, right? Like generally, you kind of need to understand going into the playoffs, like, okay, I can trust this guy to drive good results in the playoffs. I don't think there's an argument that Porter Martone would just all of a sudden dry up in the playoffs because he's just not any good all of a sudden. I just don't believe that. With Misa, I do see how his sort of like lack of a physical side of his game or something like that. He's a guy who likes to have space and work off of other guys and all of these things. That might be a bit of an adjustment at the playoff level. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's his fault that Saginaw was giving up 8 or 9 goals in the first couple games in that series. And I don't know. I think it's a bigger story than just the guys that are eligible in this year's draft class being no good. I think it's way more complex than that. And also, this is hockey, right? Like this is why AJ and I talk about this all the time. It's like once the playoffs start, everything before doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, who cares, right? Like that any coach worth their weight is walking into that room against Saginaw going, nobody thinks we're going to win, and there is literally nothing that says that we're not going to win. Like everybody's saying we won't, but the series hasn't started yet. We played a regular season, but who cares? Like we're done. Like nothing matters now. If there's no reason we can't beat this team, right? Like that's sort of the message you kind of have to go with. And yeah, you win 4 games, like, and that's it. Does it mean the Erie Otters are going to go to the OHL finals? Probably not, but they still pulled it off. And if they do, it would be a hell of a run. But I don't know. I don't really think about these things much.
Here's the other thing. Michael Misa also literally won a Memorial Cup last year.
That is true as well. Yeah, that is true too.
You
can't have one and not the other. Like you can't have it both ways.
So you could insert the logic. Oh, but he's already a cup winner. So, but that's kind of it, and it's a lame point. But
it's tough. Like I just pulled up their playoff stats for both of them. Like Martone had 9 points, 4 goals in 6 games. Misa had 3 points, 2 goals in 4 games. Like you can't really get on either of them too much. It is a short playoffs. Now, listen, if this becomes the Toronto Maple Leafs thing where every time in the playoffs they disappear and they don't play to their level, then sure, that's when you can start getting after them. But this isn't a trend at this point for either of them, so we don't need to make too much out of it.
Hey, also Mitch Marner, Memorial Cup champion as well. Don't forget about it.
Look at him.
What a stud.
Especially in the playoffs.
Right. For Q&A, okay, did you think Justin Robidas would have made the NHL by now? I'm not sure D+3 was quick, but I think it was earlier than expected. I mean, yeah, I did not think he was in the NHL this quickly. And also, like, looking at his scoring history since going pro last year, like, he was under a point a game in the ECHL last year, well under a point a game this year with Chicago, although I do believe that he was one of the leading scorers on that team. Let me just look now. Yeah, he's one of the leading scorers on that group behind Suzuki and Nadeau. I don't know. I mean, I'm very, very, very surprised, but now that I'm looking at Chicago's stats here, my GOAT, my sweet boy, second on the team in plus minus, Dominic Fensori. Remember him? He's still floating around. sitting at second on the team in plus minus, and that's automatically you're good, and it makes me look smart. So there.
Is
But,
Dominic Fensori still small?
I think so. I believe he might be. But
Well, maybe that's why he's not in the NHL.
maybe not.
Maybe that's
but,
why he sucks, Will.
Yeah, maybe. But Justin Robidas is also 5'8", so maybe he sucks too. I guess. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
You can be a small forward, can't be a small defenseman.
Unless your name's Lane Hudson, that's it.
No, let's ignore Lane Hudson and Quinn Hughes and even Cale Makar.
Cale Makar's not small.
He's not big.
Clay's small. Quinn Hughes.
Yeah, plays small, scores 30 goals as a defenseman.
Yeah, points are overrated.
Small player.
Yeah, but how many intangibles does he have? Huh? Like on a scale
Stanley
of 1 to
Cup win, check.
Yeah, Cale Makar's not even 6 foot.
Yeah, Cale Makar didn't win a Stanley Cup on his own.
He could have.
He won it because of Mikko Rantanen being
only did it because of Josh Manson.
Mikko Rantanen being huge, yeah.
Yeah.
Gabe Landeskog's leadership.
Exactly. I'm not crazy high on Nick Lardis' chances of sticking in the NHL if he doesn't make changes to his game, but I'm starting to become a believer in Jack Pridham. Have you seen any of him? I've seen a bit of Jack Pridham. I also am not crazy high on Nick Lardis sticking in the NHL as he is now. Like I don't know. I've watched. We did a video room on him actually, and it was very interesting to do because he definitely was. He was an interesting one in that game, so you can go check it out on the channel. I've seen Jack Pridham, and I don't know. I wouldn't say he's like definitely an NHL player, but whenever I go see Kitchener, which is every so often, he's definitely one of the better players on the team. I don't know. I don't know about like NHL upside, but he is pretty good. I don't know. Tony, you have any thoughts on Pridham or Lardis, or shall we move on?
Pridham has impressed me since coming from the BCHL. That's where he was, right? BCHL?
Yep.
Impressed me since coming over there. I didn't think he would be as good in the OHL as he has been. As for Nick Lardis, I'm still a bigger Nick Lardis believer than most. Do I think he's 70 goal scorer, Nick Lardis? No. But as a bit kind of complimentary scorer who you can shelter a little bit and play on the third line and give power play time to, I think there's a role in the NHL for a guy like that. He just needs to find the right fit. But a lot of those guys are also AHL superstars, so we'll see.
Right. Nate Miskey thoughts. He is solid. That's always been my read of Nate Miskey. He is solid. He's got a bit of skill. He can see the ice pretty well. He's pretty big. Eats minutes. He's fine. That's always been my read of Miskey. I don't know, Tony, any thoughts?
He's just not my style of defender. He's a big physical guy. My question with a guy like Nate Miskey is always going to be, is he capable enough with the puck to warrant being kind of a purely defensive guy at the next level? Because I always worry about guys that we're never really, at the end of the day, you don't need to be a high-end scorer at the junior level to be an NHL defenseman, but you need to show functional ability with the puck. And that's where my concern is with a guy like Nate Miskey is, yes, he had 47 points this year, and that's great. That's the kind of progress I want to see from a guy. But at 20 years old, is that enough? And I wonder. So, good defensive player, physical guy. But like you said, fine. Like he's gonna need to make some take some strides with his puck skill and just ability to kind of handle the puck on his own.
Yeah. What do we got here? Do you think Viggo Nordlund or Walter Lindberg of Skellefteå are worth a look in the mid to late rounds? I mean, I like Nordlund, but I think he is we just talked about Justin Robidas. I feel like there's a bit of that to Nordlund. So if you like that, then I think Nordlund's a pretty good pick. Lindberg, I remember from last year. I didn't realize that he's been so good this year in terms of like production and had a really, really good back half and played in the SHL down the stretch. So I'll have to check that out because I did like him last year, but it's similar to how I feel about Klingsell and Nordland. Like, you could kind of take it or leave it, but the skill level is really good with him. That's what I always remember, is just how good he was at handling the puck and getting around the ice and making things happen. But in terms of like the physical play in his game and resistance to pressure and everything, I felt like that was a bit of a ways off. But I'll check out Walter Lindbergh in the SHL, because that is a very interesting change from what I remember last year. I don't know. Shall we move on or no?
Yeah, go for it. Move on.
All right. Because Tony hates all Quebecois, can you guys give me your best pronunciation of Guillaume Latendresse? Guillaume Latendresse.
I love how you put up the call me sign.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's like, that's my calling card. Screw them.
What are you gonna do? When you're known for something.
I mean, fun fact about Guillaume Latendresse that I will go to the grave remembering is he is the last player in the NHL in its history to wear a number that has never been worn before. There's a tidbit for you. He was the last player to wear a number for the first time, and I'll give you a toonie if you can guess what number it was.
I'm trying to. Was it not like
69, baby?
83 or something like that?
Close. 84.
That's it.
84 was the last number never worn by an NHL player, and Guillaume Latendresse was the one that wore it.
And then Mikhail Grabovski popularized it on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Guillaume Latendresse walked so Mikhail Grabovski could run.
Exactly. Do you think Demidov is coming to Montreal this year? No, I think next year. I think it's going to be next year. This year is not happening.
And he's going to be, excuse my language, fucking sick. He's going to be so good.
This is why you're here, AJ.
He's going to be ridiculous.
Hey,
scientifically speaking, he sucks.
Mathematically, yes. By all measures. Carolina's going to trade down into the second round. We all know the drill at this point. That is very true.
Yes, they are.
They're going to draft 15 times this year.
They're going to get Colin Potter. They're going to get somebody else that's going to fall too far.
Who are the random Russians that are there that are going to be there in the 5th, 6th, and 7th round?
Well, you already said Jurovsky's one of the guys that they'll take.
It's too easy.
They probably don't take Ivan Famine, but if anybody's going to take him, it's going to be them.
Yes. They took Suryatsky last year. Maybe a Poltavchuk late. Maybe that guy could be there, or an Artyom Gonchar, their teammates. I actually
who's
don't know.
Who's the small guy that's going to fall, though? Like, legitimately. Like, who's going to be their Jaden Peronov this year?
Dmitry Isayev is small, and he might... he was ranked really high by Central Scouting, and I've seen him a bunch, but I don't... if he were a mid to late round swing, then I could see it. There actually aren't that many Russians this year where I'm like, yeah, this is definitely a Carolina thing.
I just pulled up my list of Russians, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's not much this year.
It doesn't even have to be Russian. It can just be anybody.
Go have fun and draft Artyom Vilchinsky.
Oh boy. Well, I was talking to Dylan today, and apparently Vilchinsky's like getting bottom pair spare defense minutes now. He's like down at 8 minutes a night. Not looking too great. Maybe they'll be the ones that draft Simonas Valavonis from Energia Elektronai in the Latvian.
There you go.
The Lithuanian superstar Simonas Valavonis. All right. What do we got here? Oh my god. When is Will joining the Columbus Analytics staff? Whenever they call me.
And I wrote when you're 65 and become a boomer.
Yeah, my hair is not gray enough yet. Like, it's getting there a little bit here and there, but not quite there yet. I don't know. It'd be fun though.
You have to be old to join an NHL staff. That's just the way it goes. Unless you're Kyle Dubas and cheat at life.
Some people are young and get hired. Let's not be too.
Kyle Dubas, and that's it. No, I'm kidding.
All right. Scouch to Atlanta. I don't want to go to Atlanta. I'd only go to Atlanta if I could drag Tony with me, and then we deal with Atlanta together. Because
Tony in Atlanta, I think I'd fit right in.
It's too. one, for me, it's too close to Florida. Number one. Number two, it's really hot and muggy down there.
Will hates Florida. Like he's got a real hate boner for that.
Yeah, I will
that
openly
state.
admit I do not like Florida. I just do not like it, and I don't want to go there. I don't like it. It's too. I don't know. It feels like I go to Florida and I'm in a different universe that like was made for different people, and I've just been like transported there, and it's very. I don't know. It's just not my vibe. Not my thing.
It's too
Okay.
crazy for Will. Even though Will is crazy.
I am, but I'm Canada crazy. I'm not Florida crazy.
You're a different kind of crazy. You're the mentally cooped up kind of crazy. Florida is the outward, outlandish kind of crazy.
I touch grass, all right? I touch grass.
Probably a little bit, but
I know my own life, man. I touch grass. I swear to God. I was just taking care of a dog for 3 weeks. I literally had to touch grass. I was forced to.
That was 3 weeks, Will. Come on.
Yeah, but still, that's a good chunk of the year. What do we got?
I'm not much better, to be fair.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would like to work with Alexander Mandrycky in Atlanta, but I'm only going to Atlanta if I can bring Tony with me.
What about me?
Only Tony. No.
Wow. I'm smart too.
Well, let's keep moving on here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, there's a lot of. Is Isaac Racine one of those guys who had talent but never NHL talent?
No.
I did think that Racine was always a guy who needed to, like, he kind of was at his best in junior hockey when he was doing like everything himself, and that's just not very projectable to the NHL. But the talent level was always really, really good with him, and I definitely wouldn't count him out right now. I did not realize how old he is. Time really flies. By old, I mean like 21. But I thought he was a little younger than that. But I don't know. Like, I've seen Rochester here and there during the year, and I've never thought like, wow, this Isaac Racine guy really doesn't look like an NHL player. But I think you have to be very careful with guys like Racine, because it's like Liljegren in Toronto, where it's like they've been in the AHL for so long that you go, well, maybe they're a bust after all. And it's like, yeah, but if you give them an extended look in the NHL, like they could probably be a pretty good contributor.
Like he had 55 points in 58 games in the AHL this year, 28 goals, 50 points last year in 67 games. Like, he's making progress. He got a few NHL games this year. I just think with Buffalo's NHL roster right now, like, where are you putting him and who are you taking out of the lineup? And I know that sounds silly considering the Buffalo Sabres are where they have been forever.
Yeah.
But they kind of have veterans and other young guys that are in spots in the lineup that you can't really take out of the lineup. Like, could you take a Beck Mallenstein out for sure, but then you're putting him on the fourth line where you already have Noah Ostlund, and that's not really a great spot for them. So I think the Buffalo Sabres are kind of at a point now where they've been so bad for so long that they have so many high-end prospects. You can't really fit them all into the NHL lineup, right? Like, you look at their roster right now. I just pulled up their lines, like Zach Benson, Yuri Kulich, JJ Peterka, Peyton Krebs, Jack Quinn, Noah Ostlund. All of them are young players in their NHL lineup already. Tage Thompson's not old, like, and then like you're not taking out Alex Tuck, you're not taking out Jason Zucker.
No.
You're probably not taking out Ryan McLeod, who's been really good for them this year. So like, where are you inserting some of these younger, talented guys? Like,
yeah.
And where are you inserting him where he succeeds too? Like,
exactly, that's the thing, right? Like I said, you can take Beck Mallenstein out, but you already have one high-end skill guy on that fourth line where you're kind of wasting his talent a little bit in Noah Ostlund. So are you having a scoring fourth line? Like, are you really? I mean, you're the Buffalo Sabres. You might as well experiment with anything. But like, why not?
Yeah, do it. What do we got?
And we are big Noah Ostlund fans here, that's for sure.
Well, yes, we are. You passed on Porter. I will passed on Porter Martone twice. Someone's getting the pitchfork. I was supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them. My friend, I am the Sith. I am a Sith Lord. I am the Sith Lord of hockey scouting. I think, you know, I'm not like I don't think I'm the, you know, blatantly evil Sith Lord, but I am the Palpatine before he went all scraggly looking. You know,
Yeah,
pulling
I'm the
string.
Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, you're Anakin Skywalker, and I'm dragging you to the dark side hard.
And I'm gonna kill you and slice you in half one day.
Hey, I can't wait. I think that would be
times.
really fun. You know, throw me down a elevator shaft or
when
whatever.
when you force me to fight my own child.
Yeah, when I force you to edit TikToks for me more. Okay, let's get through here. What do we got here? Tony sucks. That's fair. Okay, who's going to the national tournament in basketball tonight? Florida or Houston? I mean, is it the Final Four or is it the final actual game tonight? Because I don't know. Is it? Yeah, it's the championship game and it's at halftime right now. Houston's up 31 to 28. They both have identical records, so I think it's going to end in a tie. I think it's going to be a tie. They're going to give half of the trophy to each team. And
lame.
I mean,
I think Houston wins because they're currently winning.
Yeah, that's what I do too. And also because they're not Florida and Will hates Florida on this
that's true. But I also
podcast, and we have an anti-Florida agenda to push.
Yeah, but I'm also anti-Houston, so I don't know.
Oh, so Houston. That's why.
Look, I don't like Florida for obvious reasons. Just go to Florida. I don't like Houston. Cool. I am, as an adult, I am a militant anti-car person. Militant. I don't like it. I don't like the way that we've built our world around cars. And by all measures, Houston is the worst example of a city built around cars. So I don't like either of these. So I hope they tie. There. That's it. Oh boy. Increasing the age requirement for the draft keeps coming up. Where is the desire to keep change it? Where is this desire to change it up coming from? I mean, it's coming from a number of places. Number one, they think that shortening the developmental pathway to the NHL, like they do with football and basketball, would be a good thing to do. It gives them less uncertainty about the players. Like, think about how quickly people put out, my 2024 redraft, and how different it is from the day of the draft anyway. You know, like the circumstances completely shift with future development anyway. So to me, I see why they do it. It's like they give these guys a little bit more time to grow and mature and grow up and all these things. So that's really it. It like removes a lot of the onus and burden of development from the teams for a little bit longer. And it also makes it so that you'll probably see more players get drafted and go straight to the NHL, especially with how rarely we see players do that and succeed anyway. So it's like, what's the point if, like, why not just I don't know. That's my read of it. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
That sounds lazy. I like it the way it is.
I was going to say junior and college teams would love it because they get to keep their guys an extra year, right? Like in so many cases, the top end stars go to the NHL right away. You don't rush any guys. Now the guy that should have probably stayed 2 years and only stayed 1, now he stays that extra year, and all is right in the world.
Yeah. Which NCAA hockey jersey is the best one? Oh boy. We're gonna piss off some people.
Arizona State's dope.
Yeah, ASU is up there for sure. I like Minnesota.
I love Michigan personally.
Yeah,
I'm over it.
But I like when they do the big block M. I don't like when they put the Michigan across it. Like, give me the goofy big block M. Who else is good?
Alaska? Was it Alaska?
Oh yeah.
Do they have there's a team in Alaska who has a jersey that I love. No, it's not the Nanooks. Anyway, I don't know. There's some good ones though. College hockey knows how to party. That's for sure. But ASU is a good call. That's a good pull. Okay. Thoughts on the OHL coaches poll? I mean, we can kind of race through this. I don't really have that much to say about it. It all kind of just makes sense, really. I love how best puck handling goalie was one category. Best shootout shooter, but I don't know, like it all just kind of makes sense to me, right? Like hardest worker, Cole Baudouin, Brady Martin, sure, fair enough. Smartest player, Michael Misa, Jake O'Brien. Most improved players, Jack Nesbitt. I've heard Jack Nesbitt in that frame a lot.
Yeah.
As well. Most underrated player, Noah Morneau, who is a overager in Windsor.
Yeah.
So sure. I don't know. Do you have anything on this that you want to talk about? Because I don't really read these very often.
Not really. I glance through them whenever they come up and I go, yeah, like this is OHL coaches going, these are the guys that we've liked for a few years now. They give some love to the overagers and some of the categories that don't necessarily get the love. And then like best shot, hardest shot. Yeah, I'm not shocked to see Nick Lardis, Casper Holtonen, Liam Greentree, guys like that in there. Like, it just, I don't know, a lot of, like you said, a lot of it makes sense.
Yeah, it just makes sense. Is there anybody in 2024 that proved your opinion wrong to this point? I mean, I'm looking at my ranking right now.
Or is it 2020?
2024.
2024, okay.
My opinion's wrong? I don't know. I mean, Zane Parek's been super good this year. Whenever I've seen Saginaw, he's been just a ton of fun. I mean, I still think there are definitely issues in this game, but he's a ton of fun to watch, and he's been really good. I don't know. I'm looking at my list from last year, and there's a lot where I'm like, yeah, I mean, I probably would still have things very, very similarly. Like I had Yakimchuk outside the first round. I probably would stand by that. I don't know. Maybe
yeah,
I might have Chernyshov a little bit higher, but relative to the guys I had ahead of him, I don't know. Yeah, like there's a lot of it I probably would stand behind, right? I mean, I do think that last year's draft might have opened up a lot quicker, but even then, I don't know. Tony?
maybe I was a little high on Alphonse Frey, but I still really like him.
Yeah, I thought he's been good whenever I've seen him playing pro hockey this year.
Like, I love Nikita Artmanov, and he's been great this year.
But like, where did you have him?
I had him at 21, and like,
Yeah,
probably should have had him a little higher, if anything. But he
maybe.
went later.
Like relative to him, or like a Levshinov, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
like
I had Luke Misa really high. I love
Same.
him. He's looked awesome this year as well. I don't know. I don't think there's that much I'd really change at this point. Like it's also really
maybe
really
Cole
good.
Hudson should have been higher. I had him at 45, but
Yeah,
there were reasons, right? And like some of those
there
reasons are still very prevalent in his game.
yes.
I
had Emil Hemming. Maybe I would have put Emil Hemming a little lower than guys like Truff and but I don't know. We're really nitpicking there at that point. I mean, yeah, Cole Hudson was in my mid second round, and I don't know. I still feel like he was problematic last year, but he definitely looked pretty good in the last little stretch of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Not much I'd change. Hawks fan here. Thoughts on Cameron Schmidt and Jack Nesbitt? Schmidt is a ton of fun. If you like Nick Lardis and want someone a little quicker, that's and a little bit more physical, then that's Cameron Schmidt. Tony, Jack Nesbitt, what is he? You've seen him a bunch.
He's like the coaches poll said, very improved. I think his skating has come leaps and bounds from last year. I thought last year there was a lot of issues with his mobility, and he is definitely, no pun intended, taking steps. I still think there's room to improve there though for him. But yeah, he's kind of a bottom 6 guy already in the OHL. that kind of plays like that. Like I don't know if he has the upside of a guy that can play higher in an NHL lineup. So yeah, he plays higher in the lineup for Windsor, but he doesn't play stylistically like a top 6 guy. So I'm curious to see if he gets drafted high, how does the next couple years of development go? Because there has been a lot of improvement, specifically as a skater and a playmaker, because he kind of was just like a one-trick pony of just kind of get into a spot and fire pucks on net last year. And he's diversified a little bit, but there's still a lot of room to grow.
Mm-hmm. Where do you think Ivan Ryabkin lands? I have no clue. I don't. Could be someone could take him 25th. Someone could take him 85th. I don't know. But I don't think teams are really tripping over themselves to take him super high. That's just what I've heard and what I've seen. So I don't know, Tony, have you got anything else to add on that?
No, I think I won't be shocked if he's an early day 2 pick. That's what I'll say.
Yep. Do you think the lack of a physical draft will facilitate more draft day trades? No. I don't think so. I think if anything, it'll be less because they're not in the same room. They're not. The amount of mingling that goes on the draft floor, I think, makes a huge difference the day before or the day of the draft. Like they talk to each other all the time, and I feel like that is an interesting melting pot that we're going to lose. So I would be surprised if there was a ton of draft day trades. Which player will have the craziest draft combine stat? I mean, I feel like Kayshawn Aitchison is going to blow the doors off of a lot of people in like strength testing and physical testing.
Yeah.
That's my hunch.
Him, Malcolm Spence, I know is a bit of a freak athlete.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of those physical guys that kind of are known for being those hardworking.
Roddy Murtka, like 800 pounds or something. Like, I don't know. I suspect Will isn't a fan of Florian Xhekaj, but 21 points in his last 26, 21 goals as a rookie. Could you see him as a good fourth liner? Well, I guess.
Will hates him.
Yeah, I despise Florian Xhekaj
because he hates Arbor Xhekaj even more.
Exactly. That's yes. I mean, I don't know. I've seen the Laval Rocket off and on all year, and he is a solid physical AHL guy. I mean, he's got, like 21 goals and 12 assists. I mean, like the thing with a guy like Florian Xhekaj is like that he's a really good example of why I have trouble with these guys who score and score and score and score and don't generate a whole lot of offense for their line mates, which such a vast difference in production between those two categories would indicate. Like he's got 161 penalty minutes this year, so you kind of know what he is, right? Like, so to me, could he be a fourth liner? Yes. Would he be a fourth liner in my organization? Probably not.
Probably not is an understatement. Underselling it. Not. It's a hard no for Will.
I don't want a guy with 161 penalty minutes on my team. Like I don't want to be on the penalty kill. What like there's a way to play hard and play physical and not find yourself in the box as much, you know. But anyway.
And if I'm employing a fourth liner, generally that guy I'm gonna want on my penalty kill, not being the doofus in the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone called William or Victor Eklund William. That might have been me. Whoopsie.
You both did. You both did multiple. Awesome. You both did multiple times, actually.
They're both just so great. Since you picked him, Will, is Cullen Potter just a better skating Max Plant? No, I think they're quite different players. Much more of a finisher and straight up the ice, high speed guy than Plant. Plant's more like a tactical playmaker to me. Can Ben Kindle really carve out an NHL career with zero physicality? I see him as similar to Nick Suzuki, except Suzuki is extremely effective in winning the puck along the boards. That almost is exactly what people said about Nick Suzuki, I remember, from when he was 17, 18 years old. Like, they looked at him and said, well, I mean, he's not the biggest guy, and he's not this and this and this, but, like, can it work? I don't know. I think Ben Kindle would not be... If Ben Kindle is as successful as he has been while lacking that part of the game in the WHL, there's a lot of headroom to develop into something better if he learns that side of the game a little bit more. But, like, I don't know. I think about the game and what the game actually is. And Ben Kindle, like, The concern would be if Ben Kindle had players all over him and he did not know what to do and turned over the puck all the time and whatever. But that's the opposite of the case with him. He knows how to move the puck and he knows how to see the ice, and he kind of doesn't need that physicality in his game. Like, he doesn't, not everybody needs to be Tom Wilson, right? Like, he gets away with it because his brain for the game and vision and awareness of his line mates and creativity with making plays and everything is, is crazy. Like, I've seen him cross the red line with the puck and just look like he's dumping a pass into the offensive zone and just flip it 6 feet off the ground in anticipation of a defenseman hitting him, and tape to tape pass like at the top of the slot to a winger that's streaking in, receiving that pass. Like, those kinds of things where you're like, okay, there's something else going on here that alleviates those concerns for me. Especially if you give him another 2 years in WHL and another year, oh, nice dog, and a year in the AHL or something. Like, I wouldn't take him and put him in the NHL next season. But I don't really have that many concerns about a player like that based on how he plays. Especially considering some of the other players in this draft who also don't really have a physical edge to them, and there's not that much concern about them because they might be big, right? Like Lyndon Lakovic, not really the most physical guy in the world all the time, but he finds ways around it. But I don't know. I don't know. I think he'll be fine.
That dude,
Tony,
smart.
what are your thoughts on Ben? What?
That dude's smart. That's how he gets around it.
Tony, thoughts on Ben Danford?
Your favorite player, right? The guy that you told Simon Wang I loved.
That was fun.
True story. Tony's like, yeah, AJ loves Ben Danford to Simon Wang. What am I supposed to say? No, I think he's mid.
Wang's like, Simon Wang is a big fan of Ben Danford.
Yes, he is.
I think Ben Danford's a perfectly fine defense first blue liner. I liked him in his draft year. I think he was drafted a little bit high, but I don't dislike Ben Danford as a stay-at-home defenseman that has some mobility and has the ability to kind of move the puck and do some of those basic things that I talked about where defensive defensemen need to be at least capable with the puck, and Danford has shown at least a little bit of that.
Yeah. Talk about how hard Aiden Fink got snubbed for the Hobie. I don't know. I'm not super surprised he didn't get it considering the guys he was up against. Points though, like, you score points, people jump to a conclusion. What prospects do you think could end up in the back half of the first round that you personally would not draft in the first round? There are quite a few, I would think.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
We've talked about Jack Nesbitt. We've talked about Keishon Aitchison.
Is he going to be in the back half, though?
Yeah, that's fair.
Jack Murtagh.
Yeah. Really, any of the NTDP guys?
Yeah, maybe I have McKinney. I like McKinney, but
I like McKinney too. But like Moore or Bell, I could see sneaking in there.
Eddie Genborg, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't have Genborg that far out of the first round, but I don't know. I feel like I don't know.
And speaking of Cole McKinney, because this is now time that I make the plug and hold myself to this Friday being the release of our next game tape episode with Cole McKinney. So look forward to that. And he was really fun, honestly. And we got a really great off the record quote that we cannot share. So really sorry, but he was a good guy. And Tony, you know what I'm talking about, and it was awesome.
No way a 5'9" guy in the first Detroit's going to take. Fiddler makes more sense. Eisenman always takes big guys in the first round. Raymond was the most skilled in the draft. That's my point, though. Like, they should step outside that comfort zone if I'm Detroit, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's just like a fundamental mismatch between like people looking at the size of a player and not what the player does, right? Like, Colin Potter, I've seen him 8 or 9, 10 times this year. Like, I don't even know how many times I've seen him. At the very, very, very least, he very quickly becomes the most exciting, dynamic, offensive output skater guy that, like, would you say no to having Kyle Connor on your team or a Clayton Keller or something?
No.
If your answer is yes, because they're small or because your GM always drafts big players, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, you drafted Lucas Raymond because he was the most skilled in the draft. He turns out to be their best player. He's their best player on the team probably now.
Yep.
So clearly it worked. So why not try again, right? Like, I don't know. I don't understand.
It won't be that level of player by any means with Fiddler, but yeah.
Yeah. A lot of Justin Robidaw. I will give Robidaw more than 2 games in the NHL before I make judgments. How do both of you know when pace is or isn't an issue? For example, Simon Edvinsson and Lane Hudson play with completely different pace of play to me, and both are very good in an extreme generalization. So I personally, like, it really just matters, like, when it comes to output, right? Like, you can play a lower pace of play, and I think that some of the most valuable players in the league are the guys that can play quick and slow the game down. Like, if you play really, really fast, you have to be able to slow the game down. If you play really slowly, you can make that work, but you better be really good at a certain couple of things that drive the play in the right direction. Like, you can let play come to you. It's just you have to be able to make things happen with that. You can be really fast, but you have to be able to make things happen. So it's a matter of, like, to me, I think that I would rather have guys that have that high-end gear and you bring them back down to earth and you try to get them to slow things down a little bit at times, as opposed to that opposite where it's like, well, they're really safe and not super quick and whatever, and you can sort of maybe work around that. Like, that's just my preference, but I don't know if you have anything else to add on that before we move on.
No, I think the biggest thing with me is pace is like, there's speed and then there's pace. Speed is just the raw physical speed that a player can play at, buzzing up and down the ice. Pace is that combined with the mental capability of making decisions quickly and making the right decision quickly. Pace is one of those things where you will never get a model that accounts for pace.
No.
And I think that's one of the more important things. The like, Will's a data guy, I'm a data guy. But the watching the game is where you get the pace. You see guys going up and down the ice and being able to carry the puck, being able to kind of push the defenders back. And I think that's where you start to recognize pace.
Watch the games, nerd.
Watch Fabian Lysell and you'll understand what speed is.
Who's gonna be the Luke Misa of the draft? Probably oh god, Cameron Schmidt, maybe.
That was gonna be the guy I said.
Yeah, but I think Cameron Schmidt's a little too high profile though at some level. Like, I think he's gonna I think somebody's gonna take the swing a lot earlier than the 5th round.
I mean, I never in a million years would have thought Misa with a 5th round pick. I thought 2nd round, probably. Not 5th. I don't know.
Is it Cullen Potter? Or
I was gonna say Cullen Potter, but Cullen Potter's a 5th round pick. I'm quitting my job and
if Cullen Potter's that's the thing. It's hard to say who's a guy we value in the 1st round that ends up being a 5th round pick.
There were guys that I had in the 1st round that didn't get picked.
Yeah.
That's just how this goes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, you and I both have Michael Sverchek in the 1st round. Would it be shocking to see him go like that late?
Not at all. No. Unless he goes to the U18s and has 12 points in 7 games and everyone goes, who the hell is this guy? And
then he goes 3rd overall.
Yeah. Had an assist today in the SHL playoffs and it was pretty nice. It was all right, but he's a good player. Yeah. Okay. What else do we have here?
Let's start rolling through these.
I'm just racing through here.
We appreciate all the comments we get, but I am tired now. I'm sorry, people.
Sorry, I need to read one comment. Steven Ellis is the Jar Jar Binks of scouting.
Yikes. Poor Steve. I mean, someone also mentioned that at some point the league will adjust and start drafting short kings before the Canes can. I don't think that's going to happen.
That's never going to happen.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Unless we infect all the young minds here and they all end up becoming, and you all end up becoming general managers in the NHL.
Yeah, exactly. Which, good luck. How do you feel about the band? The Cars? They're fine. I like them. You know, they're all right. Will's 5 favorite U.S. cities. Oh, geez. Americans are gonna eat my head. I'm gonna go Boston, New
Okay.
York.
Yeah.
Boston, New York for sure.
You're missing a couple, Will.
I know. I do love Scottsdale, but I don't know if that counts as a city. I love going to Arizona.
You can say Phoenix.
Yeah, let's say Phoenix. I'll say Phoenix. Yeah, Phoenix, Chicago.
Yeah.
Phoenix,
You
Chicago,
gotta have
Boston,
Chicago
New
on
York.
there, yeah.
And what else do we have? Where have I even been? Oh, Seattle. Seattle rocks. I had a lot of fun in Seattle there when I was there for a few days the couple of years ago. It was I love Seattle. So yes, I'll throw Seattle.
I'd throw Pittsburgh up there since I've been there, and I like Pittsburgh. It's just cool.
Yeah.
Nashville's a blast.
Nashville was fun. The weather, though, could not do that.
Sucked.
That was friggin' nuts. Small cities can count. Well, I mean, small cities. I've never been to San Francisco. Small cities. What small cities in the U.S. have I been to that are kind of? I liked Iowa City of all places. I thought Iowa City was right.
Harrisburg was great.
Yeah. I was in Missoula, Montana. Missoula, Montana is pretty cool. Where else? I don't know. There's a whole bunch of them.
Everywhere I've been's good, other than LA.
I found myself in Bridgeport by accident one day, and that was bad. A bad one. How do you think the OHL and NCAA will work? Like 3 years in the OHL before the NCAA. How likely will top OHL draft picks actually go to the OHL instead of the? I mean, they're gonna go to the CHL regardless. It's gonna happen. It's already happening. The NCAA. I mean, I think the way it's gonna work is it's gonna be where they go whenever they want. I think legally speaking, they now no longer can prevent guys from going to college whenever they want.
Which is
like,
awesome.
I don't think teams can get in the way. I think the original thought process was that the OHL teams and the CHL teams were going to hold on to them until they were, I think, 19 or 20, and then they could go. But I think that would get sued. Someone would get sued about that, and they probably would lose. I've never been to Raleigh, so I don't know about how car heavy they are. But anything built around cars, I will fight to the death to avoid. Yeah. Do you think we'll see more CHLers go to the NCAA? Yes. I mean, it's already happening. Do you think number one defensemen need to be able to kill penalties, play on the power play, and play against top opposing lines? Quinn Hughes doesn't kill penalties and doesn't play against top lines, but Makar does. Quinn Hughes doesn't play against top pair defensemen? I mean, I don't know.
He scores points, so that's all that matters.
What is a number one defenseman really? What is that? I don't even know. You may be wrong about Levshinov. I don't think I am, but go off. I know that Scouch was very wrong. I mean, Alex Flat again. Like, I don't know. I'm looking at Chicago, how they play and how their defense looks. I don't know. All I know is watch. Whatever. I'm not going to get.
There's a reason they won the lottery for our tankathon. Okay, it's good.
What I will say about guys like Vlasic and even Levshinov, it's hard to judge guys in really bad situations like Chicago right now. And teams like Chicago oftentimes play guys like Alex Vlasic and Artem Levshinov in high roles because they have to, because they don't have anyone else. So you get guys that play, like, I look at a guy like Logan Stanley, who has been in Winnipeg forever, it seems now. And he kind of got a role because he was big and they needed someone to play. And through everything, he's kind of just stuck around. And now you're seeing him start to get pushed out of the lineup in Winnipeg now that they're actually really good. So it's going to be interesting to see how guys like Vlasic develop over the next few years in an environment that isn't necessarily favorable to development, quite frankly.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing, too, I will say is that there is truth to, if you draft big, rangy, lanky defensemen, there is value with that in the NHL, and a lot of teams are doing that. But my thing is, it's not how I would want a team to play. right? Like we're not talking about the Chicago Blackhawks with their 23 and under defense group all of a sudden being the best in the league because they're like ahead of the curve on this lanky big boy thing, right? Like I don't know. I think it remains to be seen that is a reliable strat. I think that once you think that like, oh, this is the key to winning, I feel like that's when you start to lose, like you start to box yourself into something and not thinking outside the box anymore. But whatever, I don't know. I've really tried to pay attention to Artem Yelchinov as much as I could, and I just have not thought he's been amazing with the Chicago Blackhawks this year. But whatever. Do you think we underrate as hockey fans bottom 6 NHL players? I don't know. Like, it depends.
Some of them, yes, but
Yeah, I guess
most
some
of
of
them, they're just kind of whatever.
I do think it is very interesting. I do think it is very interesting that I think that the more hockey you watch, the more you appreciate the guys that don't score. Like I think that there is a lot more to the game than just the guys that score. Like part of the game is literally taking a man off the ice. So it's like that being in that position, you get an advantage. You get a huge advantage, and being against that position, it's a huge disadvantage. So having that being a mechanic of the game automatically creates room for biases and everything, especially with something like defenseman, right? Like if you plop a defenseman on the ice for a minute and a half of every power play, that player is obviously going to score points. It's just going to happen. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about underrating, but I think it is important to understand that there's value to guys even if they don't score 80 points a game or 80 points a year. Which are each of your own hockey opinions you would die on a hill debating why you're right?
Ovi sucks.
Well, that's one.
Well,
I don't know.
It's not that he sucks. It's just that he's the most overrated player in NHL history.
Do I have one? Not. I don't know if I have. I mean, I could fire up people with something I've said a few times where Connor McDavid is the most talented player. No, I'll go with this one for AJ and the Leafs fans. Mitch Marner is very, very good. Austin Matthews is the best player on the Toronto Maple Leafs, but William Nylander is the most talented player in the NHL, not named Connor McDavid.
Agreed.
The tools and skill that guy can turn it up to at times is nearly unmatched in the NHL. With that said, he doesn't always turn those on, so he's not that.
Yeah, that's
right.
fair.
Hockey opinion, I will die on a hill debating. I don't know. It's a good question, though.
Small can work because that is clearly what you die on a hill debating, it feels like.
I mean, it can. You just have to have the right smalls. But, I mean, now you have guys like Justin Robidas in the NHL, so what the hell is happening? I don't even know. What was your dream job when you were younger? Astronaut. Easy answer.
I wanted to be an architect.
Nice.
I wanted to be a singer, like a legit pop star.
There you go.
Because I can
There's
sing.
still
there's not. That's not what I'm doing anymore.
At what age did you realize you weren't making the NHL? Probably within about a year of starting to play play hockey when I was like 7. Like
23. Figured out that hasn't happened at this point. It's not going to happen.
Is Simon Wang going to be a surprise high first rounder? I don't know about high first rounder, but I could see him being a first rounder.
Late first rounder, yeah.
Kyle Connor is 6'1", not small. Yeah, I don't care. It's the style of play. It's do you want a guy who can score goals, skate like the wind, and also set up some plays
and not play any defense?
I do not. Yeah, I just do not care about the actual size of a player. With King Idar being signed, what exactly makes him King Idar?
Whoa, God King.
Yeah, he's the God King. He is the sandworm Lisan El Gaib of our universe.
You know what makes him God King Idar? Just how cool his name is. That is really what gave him the name. Because it's something, his name sounds menacing. And I thought it was the title of God King was befitting to such such a name like that. Idar Suniev. It sounds like he's going to eat your soul.
Just like a sandworm.
Yeah, man.
Yep, just like a sandworm. All right, let's finish this up here. Are you going to refund your Lev Trikazov statue? No. No, I will not. I will refuse to give that up.
In fact, he's going to buy another one.
Yeah, buy the dip. My hockey opinion that I die a hill on is goalies are overvalued and actually don't have that much to do with team success. Oh my God, that is a hot take. That goalies don't really matter and defensive structure matters more. It is. I see where you're coming from, but goalies get coaches fired, man. like, I mean, I don't know. Structure does matter a lot, I will say, but I don't know.
I can get behind it in certain cases. I don't think you can say that. Like, I don't think you can say that is true of every team. I think in some cases, yeah, you can go ahead and be like, it doesn't matter. The Colorado Avalanche won a Stanley Cup with Darcy Kemper having one eye. So yeah, like it's case specific.
Right. Well, on that note, by the way, I just looked it up while we were talking here. Of all Chicago Blackhawks who have played more than half the season this year, Alex Vlasic is number 1 in goals against per 60 minutes. So
he's bad. That's what that means.
There's that. Let's do that. But I will admit that on money terms, goaltenders are often overvalued. Anyway, yeah. Will the Steelheads win the Memorial Cup? Yes.
Clearly not.
They're gonna win. They're gonna do it. They're gonna find a way. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to call it a day. Thanks for joining us, everyone. This was a lot of fun. Tony, any parting words? Anything you want to plug before you leave? What's the story? What's the plan for the rest of the week?
Follow me on Twitter or X at the Tony Ferrari. Find my work at the Hockey News. Watch the game tape videos. They're all really fun. Cole McKinney's coming out soon. Whether or not that's Friday is up to AJ. LJ Mooney and Philip Ekberg should be coming soon as well. So yeah, there's some fun players coming up.
It's whether or not I can stop myself from playing EU4 all day. That'll be what determines it.
We all have our faults, AJ.
Yeah.
Well,
and mine is conquering the world in a fantasy video game.
Try as he might. We are gonna call it there. No show Thursday again. I'm out of town. I'm in Columbus, doing some schmoozing. Hope I don't get
You got a real job like I have?
Well, I mean, no, I was going to say something else, but let's not go there. We're going to call it a day, though, before I get myself in trouble. Thanks very much for joining us. You can see us next Monday night. The Blues just lost. There you go.
Oh, damn.
The win streak is over. There you go. They're cooked.
They're a bunch of losers.
All right. On that note, let's call it a night. Thanks very much, everyone. We'll see you next Monday night. And, be well, have fun, and do the thing.
Go Leafs, go.